Good evening and welcome to another exciting show. And we should have David in the studio, but he's run off. Is it something we said, David? Welcome onto the show. And where are you? Now, I do hope Happy Days are here again, not being played over and over and over and over again like it did before. And here we got David. And there we go.
I'm here.
Yes. Oh, by the way, Patrick's just given me we've got Patrick also as part of the team in the background. And it's thanks to Patrick that gave me the intro. And yes, I take the point, Patrick. He did it all specially. And he said, Eric, you should be able to talk over it. And it was a quiet bit during the intro where I could have talked over it. And I didn't. Better luck next week when I practiced with it. But anyway, welcome, Patrick. Thank you very much for that. And welcome, David. And tonight, hello.
Well, you introduce what you think we're going to talk about, because I'm interested in your perspective. And Patrick also has been very helpful with the media. We're hopefully going to put on this little section. So, Eric, I'm interested in your perspective on this, especially if you'd like to give a quick introduction about your chit chat with Roll.
Now, many years ago, when my father first passed away, I did an interview with Michael Roll, and it's thanks to him that we can actually now discuss the scientific evidence for life after death. And what happened is before, I think now, if you hear the interview, I think it's off the top of my head, it was 1997. I think it was 1997, but I know it's the 1990s, where you were not allowed to talk about the scientific evidence of life after death. And Michael Roll changed the law. He worked hard to change that law. And it's the same in Malta. And he did an interview on Maltese television. Now, I don't know whether Michael Roll is still with us or not. I hope he is. But the interview was via telephone, via recorder on the telephone, and it was done over 15 years ago when my father just passed away. So it wasn't one of the best interviews. But if you go onto my website, all the W's, FockhamHallRadio.com, and look into the archive of the radio shows, you'll hear the Michael Roll interview. And I hope you'll enjoy it. He's fantastic knowledge he had. And what we're going to look at tonight is what is truth and what isn't. And that's very relevant in today's society. What is truth and what isn't? So, over to you, David. What is
Yeah, thank you.
truth
And
and what
what
isn't? I hope I gave you a good enough introduction there.
no, that's perfect. And I don't want us, me, you, and Patrick. And I've got to give big up to Patrick, who's helped me, well, helped us at the last minute, getting, as usual, the hopefully the media that's going to work to try and get
Mm.
this concept over well with just a bit of illustration. But yeah, I mean, we don't want to sound like a load of old hippies smoking dope to do with what is truth and what isn't. But I'll give you a rundown, Eric, on why I mean, I was going to come on and discuss a few of things to do with what's happened to me in the last 20 years. And again, it's not about me. It's not about stuff, me inflating my ego or a lot of other stuff that's gone on to do with. Um, I first approached you and said, we're going to do, well, when do intelligence agencies or the political structures decide to come and intervene in our stuff? Because I mean, and that's not an outrageous claim because many of us think our YouTube channels are being shadow banned, email has been interrupted, and this we encounter this every day. But I've had some experience of that on on a level that really quite crippled my life, and so I was going to go into that, but instead, at the end of Paul's show, he did a really good show on last Thursday. And actually, at the end of it, what came up is there was a discussion between three or four people on Paul's show to do with the Nord Stream. The Nord Stream was when, of course, it was blown up probably by Ukraine, Britain, if else, the Nord Stream Russian pipeline. And I think Malefica said, I made a point going, well, look, we have proof because there's video of this bubbling gas main. Bear with me, this will make sense in a minute. A bubbling gas main that then put our electric prices up, electric and gas. I mean, we now in Britain, I know we have listeners in America too, and probably maybe Europe, but our gas bills in Britain are now higher. Sorry, our electric bills are higher than anywhere else in the world. Astonishing for a developed country, right? So my point was, well, I said the people who blew up Nord Stream should be hung in public. And then a few people came on and said, "Well, we don't know. Did the pipeline get blown up at all?" And there's a few claims said, "Well, it could." I said, "Well, we have footage of that," and quite rightly, Maleficus and I think Paul and maybe someone else said we don't know if that's actually happened. That's just as usual in this CGI AI age, that is simply an image on our screens, and it's a good point of view. But I thought, well, in that case, what is truth? And in this scene, when we're very skeptical and we're very conspiracy orientated, what is truth and what isn't truth? And so I thought instead, let's go into that and let's go into two of the themes in my life. And again, I'm just the only reason I'm using themes from my life is because people know about these things, but also it's stuff that's affected me, and stuff that I've been involved in directly. In other words, does truth change if you're a first person witness to this? So with Nord Stream,
Interesting. Interesting.
well, I'm saying, Eric. So, Eric, let's say Eric, you had Auntie Nellie, who at that moment was in is it the Baltics? I don't know, near Odessa. I don't know where this gas main is. I don't know, don't care. But let's say, Eric, your Auntie Nellie was on board a battleship, and then she was a first time witness to this gas main getting blown up by whoever it was. If she saw bubbles coming up from that gas main, does she know that therefore that gas main then did blow up, which then would then be different to and contradict the fact that Paul Maleficus and whoever else was on the show said, well, we don't think that happened. It probably didn't happen. It's probably a scam. And so I thought, my God, what do we do in this scene if everything's a conspiracy? If everything's a conspiracy, is it worth us getting out of bed in the morning? Because surely, what's the point? I mean, if everything's a
Mm.
conspiracy and the Almighty, um, see, Eric, I'm going to be careful here. The sneaky Jews are doing all sorts of stuff that won't see sneaky Jews. It won't get past the censors now. Won't notice that one. Is it down to if they carry this stuff out and they're all powerful, or is it the British intelligence agencies or whoever Europe? Then
Mm.
the point is, what's the point in actually doing anything at all? And my point is, then well, I thought, well, let's move on and let's look at some areas where I know that, and here we go with Winston Churchill. I know that there are areas where we probably wouldn't think that these powers that be. By that we mean
The powers that shouldn't
politicians.
be, you mean?
All right, and that's the ACH, and he's dead right. The powers that, and they certainly shouldn't be. I'm
Mm.
going to swear now. I've got to stop. I'm not going to. Anyway, the powers that shouldn't be. Right. So the point is, there are certain areas where, and this is what I was going to go into before. There are certain areas where actually, they jump on first before even stuff to do with things like pipelines or whatever else. And this is my experience. And these two things are the UFO issue, okay, which I have 2 decades of evidence of, right, experience of and evidence of, as well as state or what I call above government, i.e., military layers and sneaky layers that are way above Keir Starmer and everyone else. The other layer is involvement in, which you've discussed before, is to do with the whole thing you just mentioned, the whole thing that we also have a whole scene to do with seances and spiritualism, and basically the whole point is that we think these are wacky areas: the UFO issue, the spiritualism issue, to do with contacting the dead. And we think these are so way out that, of course, the state wouldn't be interested in these things, or the military, or
No,
whoever else.
they're made wacky. But if please, I don't wish to stop you mid flow,
No,
and
you're
please
fine. Good.
excuse
Yeah,
me
carry on.
time. But we got some questions in chat, so if we could just, Stephen Truthseeker says, "I have a question for David. Has David ever heard of the phenomenon called abductive simulation? I've never heard of it, but have you
I
ever
can't
heard
see
of
how
it?
that's all right.
Abduction?
What's it called?
Well,
Abduction?
Abduction
Simulation?
simulation.
Like
I
for
think I know what.
UFOs, I'd
Yeah,
imagine.
right. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Stephen, I think I know what you're going on. I think what you mean by that is you're on, and that's actually a crucial point to what I've just discussed there. And I think what you're implying, and come back and say if I'm wrong, is you're basically going on about where so we've had the whole thing since the 1950s of UFOs or ETs. And no, I
Hmm.
use this a lot because I don't believe in half these terms. Right. I'm a very skeptical sort of guy as far as this stuff. I think what you mean is when the military of the state have pretended to carry out abductions of human beings, and actually they've turned out to be mind controlled, or they've been done in a warehouse in Area 51, all this sort of stuff. So yeah, I think that's what you're going on about. So yeah, I've heard of that stuff, and it's a very confusing area, but
Hmm.
that does not negate or take away the fact that there are a benevolent force of intelligent visitors that have tried to encourage us as human beings in the way of contact. And I don't like the term abductions, but that's a sort of a side issue to what we're going on to
Hmm.
what I'm hoping is that Eric will invite me on a week or two later, and I'm going to talk about the UFO contact area and the evidence and the media that I can provide for that, because that's far more
Okay.
juicy than what I'm going to discuss tonight. So
I
tonight,
understand.
yeah, based on what you said, Eric, that you had the chat with the guy, then I thought let's just do the spiritualism aspect, and if you want me back,
I
I'll do the
understand.
usual aspect.
Oh,
All right?
certainly. Now, another question, Yuki Brown, because I'm getting these questions out the way. Because when I say out the
That's all
way,
right.
I don't mean that in the rude sense. But I'd like you,
No,
when you go into a
we have an
flow.
hour. That's
That's
probably
right.
the main
That's it.
reason.
Now, thanks, mate. Question. This is Yuki Brown. Good point there, Patrick. It's much appreciated. If someone is murdered, what happens on the other side when the murderer dies? Do they get revenge? Well, I doubt it,
I
but
don't know the
that's
answer.
I don't know the answer to that
I'd,
at
I'd
all.
like to make one comment there. You're about
Certainly, mate.
seances and that sort of thing. I was
Mhm.
just listening earlier today regarding the American Civil War, and it was quite well known that Abraham Lincoln held seances in the White House. So
Yep.
this sort of thing isn't out of
Mm.
unusual or out of the question what you're bringing up.
You're quite. It's quite interesting. And also, Ronald Reagan dabbled in the that type of thing, and so did Mr. H. The in Germany, he dabbled, and so did Churchill.
Churchill
So,
and Himmler. Himmler was the biggest. I
oh,
mean, my
Himmler.
God.
Oh, yes, he was really into it
Uh,
in a big
That
oh
way.
my
Mr.
God!
H.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah. Yes.
and I've got to be careful here because I don't want to sound like I'm sort of a fan of Himmler. But my God, I mean, did he have the Masonic? venue in his own home where he had a certain tiled floor, which had a certain, and again, people go, oh my God, that's demonic. No, it's not demonic. They were into esoterica, right? It's the same thing as when people go,
That's
well,
right. And
well, no,
apparently,
I'd say it's demonic. That's my opinion, though.
well, that
no,
which is
can I say one thing? So this is where Patrick, I'd quite like when I finished playing these clips and got. It'd be good if you could come in because, of course, me and you
Sure.
are Christians. Well, what happened with Jesus Christ after crucifixion? He was met by disciples and other people on the road, and he was in a form that looked a little bit different, sort of. And remember the term plasma, right? Plasma is
He
a
walked
fourth.
through walls.
All right. Okay. Plasma is a fourth state of matter, and Jesus Christ met people, and he let them touch him. And what I'll go on to say, believe it or not, if by the time we've gone through tonight, is that I have shaken hands with a dead person. Okay, so I've done it. Right. You can laugh at me, but the point I'm making, and let's bring it back to Maleficus, Paul's, and the point about Nord Stream. Well, no, we don't believe that happens. Well, look, so what difference does it make? So if I went to a seance where this sort of stuff was brought about, the spiritualism that's been going on since the late 1800s, that I then shook hands, and it felt like I was shaking hands with a COVID rubber glove, right? You know what we all were told to wear, these rubber gloves. It was a strange. So I shook hands with that, and I've got audio, if Patrick can play it, of how that came about. If it comes across, it's not great audio. So, but
I understand. I fully understand. And now Pantheo has an interesting one, and I think I might be able to answer this one. Example: two people walk under a ladder. One man's truth is getting bad luck, and the other truth they don't get bad luck, and the facts are the ladder, and they both walked under it. Well, I think it's what your perception is and your frequency. If your
that's the point.
frequency is going to be that it's going to be bad, it will be. If your frequency is that it's going to be good, it will be. And that's
Yeah.
basically that's the way I look
I'd
on
like
it.
to say something else
Certainly.
regarding that. My view on it is you don't know what you're opening up, whether it's good or bad. The medium is the one who is said to be the one that communicates with these spirits. I'm saying I don't trust that medium. In fact, I'd like to strike that medium, especially if they're a happy medium. And so
You like to strike happy medium.
Patrick, what do you mean when you just said that? When you said strike, what do you mean by that?
no, it's
Well,
a joke.
hit a medium. It's a joke. As I said, yes, he always likes to hit a medium if they
Strike
start
a happy
laughing,
medium.
because he likes to always strike a happy medium.
Oh, I see. Sorry, I'm a bit slow.
The idiom.
I've got it. All right. All right.
So there we are. Now, Heragers Get Fucked said, if you lose your leg, is it waiting for you when you get up to the pearly gates? Well, no, because you don't really have a body as such, I don't think. So I don't know.
Well, as a
because,
Catholic, I believe
I don't
you
think I've
get your
been there.
body back.
Mm.
You get a perfect
Yes.
body back. Whether you go to hell or to heaven, you get a perfect body. That's the Catholic belief.
Well, that gels in with what you're about to find out.
All right. Well,
Well, that's right. We'll just do this next
Sure.
question. We'll push on, because it happened to me. My bedroom was simulated. This is Stephen Truthseeker. I woke up one night and there was no bedroom door. They had simulated my bedroom after they had taken me. Oh dear, can't have that. So sorry to hear that. Right. Okay. Now, far away, David. What you was going to say? So we've had the questions and that, and so it's over to you.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'll just say, Chris, also Eric, that I appreciate you having me on. I know sometimes I'm a pain in the arse and a gobshite, but I've got the best intentions for the whole of our scene, and it's I know I mean Paul's group, etc., and other groups, Mark Collis, we focus on sort of the problems of England and stuff, but my belief is in history. That I want our history to be left alone and our culture to be left alone, and that includes things like the Victorians, who are really into this whole area of seances. And I think
I
it does
agree
a
with you.
disservice. Yeah, let me just say this. I think it does a disservice if we start saying, "Oh, well, that stuff's a bit way out," and no, that stuff's a bit wacky and way out, and it's a bit embarrassing. No, all this stuff to do with seances, and or even the UFO area. These are spiritual areas, and Britain and the Celtic people, okay, are rooted in, right? We're rooted in this stuff, and if you don't know that stuff, then you don't know enough about Celtic history and the people of Britain, and the fact that we were a mushroom cult, and we were, and again, we were all about expanding our consciousness. And it's my belief that it's this. I don't want to say Christian, but I want to say this esoteric base to ourselves that comes in things like
Mm-hmm.
the Wizard of Merlin, all these tales we have, and this sort of stuff going back to Camelot and stuff. All this stuff isn't laughable stuff. This is what set us up to be a great, fantastic, expanding race in the Elizabethan era, right? To allow us to do all the stuff that we did. And bollocks to colonialism. I know. I believe that we did great good out in the world, right? And but it comes back to certain things, and it comes back also to the fact of why did, and this is the point. So Patrick mentioned then, and Patrick made a really good point. Okay, so he said, and this is a common thing to do with things like Ouija boards, and that's the cliche. Ouija boards. Eric, you know about those Ouija boards when people say, "Well,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
so
Very,
you might."
very, very dangerous if you don't know what you're doing.
Okay, all right,
Extremely
yeah,
dangerous.
and that's true, right? And my partner's passing me a note here because she probably disagrees. I'll put that to one side, but yeah, and she makes a good point. The fact, I think the point is that um, when you come to these seances where what happens, and again, I'm not asking people to believe the whole idea of seances and these meetings in the late Victorian eras. What I'm saying is that, so I've been at some of these gatherings, so I know how they operate. And what happens is the ones that have lasted a long time, they have what they call a gatekeeper. So Patrick says, "Well, it's dangerous." Ouija boards are different. That's if you use these things on your own and you're an idiot. You might well bring in dodgy demons, and that I'm sure that's happened. It probably does happen. But in these structured seances, spiritist groups, and don't forget, these are linked to a pseudo. I shouldn't say pseudo. They're linked to a Christian church. So I went to one that's been running 10 years in Harrogate, a posh area of West Yorkshire, right? And you'll hear in about 10 minutes, if we get to these pieces of media, you'll hear where I was addressed by the head, and when we say gatekeeper, there's a spirit that makes sure that no negative entities. Again, you can laugh at this, but well, come no, experience it for yourself. So there's a gatekeeper in charge, and this isn't human. This is so you have a medium in charge of the human part. Then you have a gatekeeper, um, very enlightened spirit that is in charge of who they let through to this sort of stuff. So who is allowed to come through to the humans. So it's a protected area. So it's actually a very safe zone, but only if it's done in the correct way. Okay, so let's go on. So the point I'm making, and again, this comes back to the point I made about Nord Stream. What do we believe? What do we believe? When's truth, and when's it a blag, and all this stuff? When's conspiracy? So if Patrick can now find the first part, what basically let's go into, and this is um, the point I'm making is Winston Churchill and the British government got involved in the the seance system because of Helen Duncan, right? So you've got to say, if this stuff is all bullshit, the UFO stuff is all bullshit as well, then why would the British government? And it was a huge. I mean, they sent in policemen, detectives. It went all the way to the highest.
Can I
court
stop
man.
you there? Sorry, we've got
Well,
to explain to the audience who Helen Duncan was. Helen Duncan was a medium, and a very skillful one. She was a deep trance medium. And there was a ship, I think was it the HMS Hood? I could be wrong. I think it was one of those ships.
there's two ships, yeah.
Yeah, and it sunk, and it was given the equivalent of a D notice. That was, they were not allowed to release it to the news. It was tight-lipped. And in a seance, she was talking to the sailors who had actually lost their lives. And she knew those, I thought it was one ship, but those two ships that had sunk. And the Secret Service got wind of this, and she was arrested under the Witchcraft Act. Now, Churchill heard about this, and it's about the one good thing he did do, and he actually went ballistic, and he said, release that woman immediately, and he repealed the Witchcraft Act. So I just thought I'd
And
fill everybody
and
in with
and
that.
and and Eric, isn't that a fascinating point? So as we've discussed on Paul's group and your
Mm.
group before, That's my God, Churchill's such a tosser. Churchill, this and that, and
He
he
was.
was, especially well, it was especially in the war, and many of us know stuff about what a coward he was during the war and how much. Anyway, anyway, we don't want to go. But the point is, but here's the point, and isn't it interesting that Churchill stuck up for. Helen Duncan was about to be taken to court, and he knew they were going to actually probably try and jail her. I mean, at that time, even in the Witchcraft Act, she could have been jailed for life. And yet Churchill was like, no, be a bit gentle and be a bit gentle on this lady. So you've got to ask yourself
Mm.
under that climate in that era, especially given which you're going to find out, which Eric's just mentioned, to do with these two ships, which is astonishing that she found out. But given that, why did Churchill jump to her defence? And it's my take that I think he knew a bit more about this esoteric communication with the other world. And why wouldn't he? If you're a higher echelon, you know a lot of sort of people in Parliament. You know a lot of sort of even though he's a bit of a broke, drunken bastard, but he seemed to know a fair few people. I think he may have known about this scene and how popular it was, and he jumped to the defence of Helen Duncan. But it didn't work in the long run. So Eric, can we just play now? And this will give the background to people of Helen Duncan. And really, my point is again, why would if this was all bunkum, if the spiritualist thing is all to do with all funny demons and ghosts, and why would the British government put so many resources into clamping down on Helen Duncan to the point where you'll find out by clip, if Patrick helps me out, by clip 4, we'll find out they literally raided in the God hellhole, which is Nottingham. They raided her house when she was doing a session, and it's too much to go into now. But ectoplasm is how these mediums used to basically bring in their communication with this other
Deep
world.
trance.
Deep trance is
And
ectoplasm.
I think it was 1955, wasn't it, that she was killed?
Yeah, I mean, there's two
56.
bits which got hospitalised in Nottingham around that time, but something else happened in Portsmouth where she basically listed these ships of the Hood and the Barham, these two battleships that the Admiralty put, like you say, you're dead right. They put a D notice on, but actually, in fact, she weeks ahead, she'd basically discussed this, and why? Because the mother of one of the sailors from the bottom of the sea had basically gone, wait, Mum, I want to tell you what's happened, and so he came through in one of Helen Duncan's. He said, Mum, they blew up our ship. I'm at the bottom of the sea, but I want to pass a message. I'm all right. I've moved, and it sounds wacky, but my God. So my point is, with all this stuff, why would the British state, it's the same with the UFO issue, which I can go into next time, why would the British state, especially in that era when you've got World War II on, why would they put so many resources onto following Helen Duncan around, raiding her, trying to make her look like a complete lunatic? Why would they do that if this stuff was all bunkum? They wouldn't. So Patrick, can you get up the first one? These are all like literally 1 minute clips. So the first one is Duncan, Portsmouth, and police chief. And notice the police chief has come around only about 10 years ago. So we're talking about the 40s, but now here we go. Right, sorry, here we go. Yep.
At her seances, reference had been made in spiritualist messages
Get the mouse
to
away.
the sinking of HMS Barham, news of which had been kept secret from the general public. Mr. West was Chief Constable of Portsmouth and the man in charge of the police prosecution. So how seriously did government take this as a risk?
They did not want a lot of song and dance made of the fact that she got hold of this information. It was absolutely secret.
She was arrested before D-Day. Did you have conferences with government in London?
You did. All they wanted to end with that she was a danger.
What?
All they wanted to end with that she was a danger.
Oh my God. So 30 years after Helen's trial, the chief constable is saying that they wanted her out of the way. And during a critical part of the war, D-Day was coming. They didn't arrest her because she was scamming people. They were arresting her because she was essentially leaking information that was meant to be secret. And the best way to deal with something like that is to just block them out.
Right, okay. All right, yeah, okay, that's what. So interesting. So there's a few key points there that she ended. And the girl that's covered this, as usual, the BBC. Thank God. I mean, for once, they haven't got a black lady in or an Asian lady in to cover what is essentially a British thing. They've got this. They've got a this Welsh lady in, but she's a bit of an idiot in a way. But at least she's done it. But the point is, she went and looked at the archives, obviously with the help of the BBC, and basically that. But what's interesting is that a chief constable now has felt so guilty. A chief constable from back in that sort of era, so we going from the 40s and 50s, eventually got in touch with the BBC and this program they did fairly recently on Helen Duncan, and essentially said that he's sort of embarrassed. And what he said was that. Well, Helen Duncan was a threat, and they just wanted to shut her up, and they ended up jailing her. So essentially, she did a reading in Portsmouth, where a soldier from HMS Barham, there's two ships, it gets confusing, and there's a still confusing date. Basically, tried to at the Helen Duncan thing. Helen then passed on at this medium session and basically said, "Your son is at the bottom of the ocean after a ship has been, and it had 800. I mean, Eric, you understand World War II. 800 souls on a ship. That's a big number, and the British tried to keep that quiet. What did Helen do? In her seance, she communicated about one sailor that had gone down on the ship. Well, that's one of 800. So, of course, that panicked. That panicked the Admiralty, and they tried to keep it quiet. And Helen broke that rule. I mean, So, I mean, 800 people is a lot to keep quiet, Eric. Don't you think?
Eric, you're on mute.
Yeah, I can't hear him.
Sorry, Eric.
Eric.
I'm terribly sorry.
That's all
Yeah,
right.
thanks, mate. Yeah, she knew a hell of a lot, and she would have known secrets, and that's what they was worried about: secrets coming out, and that's why they jailed her and tried to stop her. And I believe they killed her deliberately after the war. I don't think
Yep.
it was by accident. They killed her because she was finding out too much, and there's a lot coming out from these professional mediums, because for every one professional medium, there are many that are fake. And this is what the establishment focus on: the fake ones, not the real ones. She was a real medium, a deep trance medium who knew her stuff. And that's the thing. So
May,
that's my little bit.
may I play the devil's advocate and say that she was involved in espionage, and if not her personally,
Who knows?
perhaps with other
No.
people, using
Point.
the seance as an excuse?
Right. Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, right.
Maybe.
Yeah, no,
That's a
good.
good point. That's an excellent point, Patrick. Excellent point.
Actually, you're right there. And actually, and it was actually at that stage, wasn't so much Churchill. I mean, Churchill actually came in towards the end, and again, it's interesting that he was torn between this. My God, I've got to sort of follow the Admiralty and go. This woman needs to be jailed because she's released our secrets, God knows how. But it's a bit creepy. She seems to know stuff that we haven't released for like weeks on end. But actually, what they did, of course, as usual, what do we know about the World War II? Blame the Germans, right? So, of course, they were like, oh my God, Helen Duncan. I mean, it's hilarious, as usual. Helen Duncan has met a German, probably had an affair with a German, and has found all these secrets. Well, it's bullshit. If you know about how those two ships got, HMS Barham got sunk, they might have been sunk by a German missile, but, it wasn't released in Germany because, of course, we know, as we know this, Eric, don't we, that the British monitored the press of the German. They knew exactly what was coming out. I mean, we had agents in Germany, so we knew all this stuff. So, but the sinking of the ship wasn't even released in Germany. It was so quiet. So it's interesting then that you've got this sort of weird angle going on with, or Helen Duncan might have worked with the Germans, but of course it's the same with even what do we have today? We have Russia. We have all this stuff that okay, so we can then basically blame someone because they've sided with Russia and Putin over an issue. But anyway, that's it. So, but I part of
There's
my
a strange
point is
synchronicity with this. Excuse me to try. I don't mean to talk over you, but there's a strange synchronicity to this because, hang on, somebody mentioned earlier, there's a shadow that appears, and there's another shadow which we've just gone past. That's David Niven is featured on
David Niven.
on the front of this, this show, and David Niven, so they say, could speak fluent German, and they reckon. Now,
Traitor.
I don't know. I have not got any evidence in front of me, he's long gone now, so I can say this, that he actually worked for the Germans. Whether it is or not, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a strange synchronicity that David Niven is featured on the promotion of this show, and the film that he was in was in a 1946 film called A Matter of Life and Death, about an airman.
No, that's fascinating. And you know, what's interesting? Oh, thank you, Patrick. You got that ready. What's interesting is, the universe. Again, don't want to sound like a hippie, but the universe works like that. And sometimes it goes. If you're on the right track, I'm going to give you something like David Niven and Life and Death, and I'm going to make it a synchronicity. And what? That's
A
the
weird
universe
synchronicity. And
Yeah,
that's a
but
very weird synchronicity. And that actual film was years ahead of its time, because it's about an airman that had died and didn't realise he had died.
I know the film, but what's it saying? It's saying to us on your show, Eric. It's saying you're on the right track. You're talking about stuff that actually should be discussed. That's why I see it. Sometimes synchronicities come together and go, right. Yeah, you might be full of this conspiracy bullshit and this, that, and the other, but you're on the right track. And sometimes that's how you get stuff that actually sort
Synchronicity,
of.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Synchronicities are on your side, and I've been a believer in that since I first read my books, age 16, 17. Synchronicities can dictate that and basically hint to you that you're on the right sort of wavelength and to carry on. Right. So yeah. So here is, and again, I'm making a point. Again about Nord Stream. Well, I'm saying, Eric, what if your Aunt Nellie was looking at the Nord Stream thingy, and she said to you, Eric, I've just seen this Nord Stream pipeline blow up. What does it matter if you're a first time witness? Does it then make that event a little more true than the idea that, well, we don't know, because these days everything's CGI and we're all conspiracy sort of, and we all think everything's a conspiracy. So here is Helen Duncan's granddaughter, and it's interesting to hear what she says about this. So thank you, Patrick. Let's go with that next clip.
At her seances, reference had been made in spiritualist messages
Get the mouse
to
away.
the sinking of HMS Barham, news of which had been kept secret from the general public. Mr. West was Chief Constable of Portsmouth and the man in charge of the police prosecution. So how seriously did government take this as a risk?
They did not want a lot of song and dance made it the fact that she got hold of this information. It was absolutely secret.
She was arrested before D-Day.
This is
Did you have conferences
sorry,
with government?
I'm going to interrupt. This is I should have exited out of that one.
Yes, same clip. Yeah, granddaughter.
Yeah,
It's called granddaughter.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's all right.
My
Okay,
bad.
it's all right. It's
I
my
gotta
fault. I
find-
rushed this together. It's my fault.
That's all right. That's all right. Here we go.
How could Helen have known about this battleship going down?
There is no way that information could have gotten out. No way. She was told by a spirit. And with the Brigadier Firebrace, we have actual proof. We were at war. I get it. The government couldn't afford to have that information out. Does it make it okay? No. They could have dealt with my grandmother in a more humane way. Her mediumship was her life, being of service to others. Even after prison, she didn't give it up.
Really?
See, we think of death as the end. No. Death is not the end. We continue on.
All right, and so and from there, there's a final clip I've got where she. What happens is she goes to the hellhole that is Nottingham, where I lived for 2 years. God awful place, full of yardie gangsters and whatever. Anyway, that she goes and basically what happens? She does a séance there because they've already had her in jail. This was the Winston Churchill part, so they had her in jail in the 40s, and then she got out after like I think 10 years for being a witch. Can you imagine that? Right? I mean, imagine that we think we're a modern day era of the 1950s. And actually, they said, no, you're a witch. We're going to do it on the 1822, whatever, Witchcraft Act. So they jailed her for 10 years. The poor woman got out. She's broke as usual. So someone said, right, can you do a reading for us and come to Nottingham? Probably one of many. And what were MI5, or I think at that time were called MO5, right? MO5, I don't think that MI5 been formed. That then they sent in officers to monitor her. But what they didn't know is when you use, and this is the important point to do with the experience that I had when I went on, which you're going to hear about in a minute, to do with in Harrogate, where what was used in the seance there was a different form of energy. Again, not being a hippie, but there is such a thing. There is human energy and psychic energy, and there are spirits that help you build that sort of stuff up. What Helen was still using in the old school way was ectoplasm. And you've all seen, you've got to, if you've had your eyes shut, if you don't, was the thing to do with like cheesecloths, like that spirits was that the fakery was meant to be, oh, they're using cheesecloth, which is an old Victorian thing, actually way after where things like cheese and other things were wrapped in this Muslim sort of, it's more not Muslim. So anyway, it's a certain material, right? And this ectoplasm, but the problem is that when you use one medium, this ectoplasm that they generate can be dangerous should light come into it. This is why seances, including the one I went to for several times, are always held in the dark or under red light. So what happened here, and what I think it goes into this if we go to the next clip, is that Helen went to Nottingham, did a seance, and MI5 or MO5, I think they were still called then, were watching, and probably not by then not under Churchill's orders, because of course Churchill quite wanted Helen to be let off, which is very interesting. I find that a great dichotomy, that you got Churchill as a complete tosser, but he actually supported Helen Duncan in a way. It's interesting. But anyway, so the police went in, but being idiots, they went, as the police usually are, they went in, and it was in the middle of a seance. You cannot let light in or open the door to a medium that is then acting as a vessel. Again, hippie terms, but bear with me. You cannot then open the door, let light in, because you will cause damage to the medium who is then in that sort of state, and that's what happened. And she ended up in Nottingham Hospital. So, I mean, I think this is the last clip. Do you want to go to the last one, Patrick? Which
one,
it says
one thing though, you
Yeah.
said the word ectoplasm.
Ectoplasm, yeah.
Yeah, that reminds me of the film Ghostbusters. You remember that?
Right. Yeah,
they mention it.
No, they did, and dead right. And like many of the films, I don't want to big up Hollywood anyway, but like many things, then there's many these film directors and screenwriters that mention things that actually have more bearing in reality than usual. So Ghostbusters was quite, they talked about ectoplasm and containing ghosts and things, but of course you make it. In a way, you could see it as, right, they make a joke out of the whole idea of, little quick, contain these ghosts, and let's use an ectoplasm rifle or gun, which they used to use, didn't they, in Ghostbusters? And what does it do? What does Hollywood do? They make a joke of and the point is, it's an ongoing joke, which they've done since the Victorian times on spirit contact, which is a serious issue. Eric, if you wanted to meet your father, or Patrick, if you want to meet your mother, know nothing about your lives, then this can be done if you went to the right medium. I guarantee you. And you've yet to hear about my experiences, which I don't want to go on about. They're very weird with this group. So I'm not going to go on about those, but I'm saying this is a possibility. The point I'm making is the powers that be come in and make a mockery of this, like they do with much of our stuff. Whether it's the sneaky tube stuff, whether it's the high levels of politicians where they say are fantastic, even though they're paedophiles. They're all this other stuff that goes on. So this is it, and Ghostbusters is part of that. So yeah, let's go to the final. I think it's the final, or the last but one clip. They're short anyway.
Listen to this, the headline. Police break up seance. Medium in hospital after seance raid.
Yeah, she'd been injured.
This is in 1956.
If this was fake, why was she injured?
A decade after she left prison was long over, and the police are still on to Helen. Medium grabbed and searched after cabinet is torn down. Medium is now in Edinburgh's Western General Hospital. Quote, obviously the result of these terrible happenings at Nottingham. There were 2 burns on her stomach.
Burns? Wait for it. What else do they do to her? Wait for it.
How can there be burns on her body?
Oh no, poor woman.
No, wait for it. Wait for what they did to her. It's disgusting. Wait for it. Oh, it stopped. Oh, what happened? Oh, sorry.
That's the end of the video.
By the way, before we go any further, Jeppy Crecklefall said, "What? Sorry if I pronounced the name wrong. What is the name of the video from which the clips come from?"
This is from a recent, and apart from the silly bins that did this, and there's reasons why I call her that, because she went on after this to do another series, which really annoyed me. But this, so it's a Welsh, sort of the usual BBC youth YOOF sort of presenter that's done this. But it was actually a good series. The BBC did 3 on Helen Duncan. Let me find the title. It's called. Okay. It's called The Last Witch in England. So if you go to BBC iPlayer, it's a 3-parter, and if you ignore the silly cow that does it, then actually it's quite good, and they go into some background of Helen Duncan that's really interesting. But it's not It's not, as usual. It's not a balanced breakdown of what happened in her life and what happened since and what happened to her Churchill. But it's a good series. The Last Witch in England.
If I could interject there, Helen Duncan actually died on the 6th of December 1956, so that's just over 70 years ago. And she sounded a very, very kind and dear woman. It's sad.
She was
It really
lovely.
is sad.
Yeah.
She really does sound a lovely lady. So,
Yeah.
got a bit choked there. I got a bit choked. She really did sound good,
No, do you know what? You're right. You're right to bring that up, Eric. Because in this scene, it's the same as us lot. We all do this stuff. Whether it's you doing your radio show, Paul doing his stuff. All the people I've met since I've done 20 years of UFO and contact conferences, and we all do it for all reward, right? We do it because we love this area and we believe that information and this sort of thing. We don't like the world we live in. We don't like the corrupt people that are around us. So we go and do this stuff, and most of us are impoverished because of what we do, right? There's no money coming in left, right, and centre. The whole idea that we all the whole idea, which people have said, is like, well, my God, people release books and they make a fortune. Well, that's 1 in 100, right? So we don't, and the same with Helen Duncan. She made a bit of money by going and giving these sort of things out. But my God, the backlash you get when you get to a certain level, the backlash you get from the state, the legal system, lawfare, as we call it today, is so huge that that unless we're very careful, that's what happens. And so But anyway, can we just play the one last clip, because I think it's going to have the last point in. It's called Nottingham to Death, Patrick, and that's it. Then we're done. We got one clip from my end of stuff, and that's it.
Hey, Ty! When Helen went into Holloway, she said she would never ever conduct another seance ever again. But then when she came out of prison, she said that ultimately the call of spirit was too strong. And she started doing seances at a staggering level.
What I don't understand is years after the war is over, the police are still on her tail.
They're still after her, right?
Why won't they leave her alone?
I think they were threatened by her. And I don't necessarily think that's because they thought she'd be leaking more state secrets. She was a medium. She superseded their authority. And not many 1950s policemen are going to stand for that, are they? They're going to want to bring her back down.
Like this raid that I've just read about in Nottingham.
It was absolute chaos. You can imagine it, whistles being blown, lights were turned on, people climbing over one another.
Yeah.
And the police went straight for the cabinet where Helen was sitting. They were convinced that if they found evidence of fraud, they got her. They didn't find anything. They tore that house upside down and they found nothing.
Her thingy.
And to check that she wasn't hiding anything on her person, they put torches up her dress and they stripped her.
It seems so out of proportion.
The trauma that happened in that seance was really real.
Eric.
So I'll have to be on mute. David, this is Trish Barnes said, David, you're marvellous, but are you too poor to afford electricity? Turn on a light, mate.
Well, no, I'll just respond to that. I refuse to become your average last few years YouTuber that has a huge phallic microphone and one of those bloody makeup spotlights. I don't care. I'm an old school UFO and an old school internet guy. So no, I'm never going to get one of those spotlights, and I'm never going to get a big microphone. Take it or leave it.
Fair enough.
Right on.
Yeah, right on.
Right.
Do we? There's one more. There's one clip. If you want to then tidy this up, Eric. There's one more thing, which is then
Yeah.
I was going to bring this in to go. Well, and here's a case about when I turned up at one of these seances. I was invited to. It took a lot of time, and basically they go into then, and I can discuss how, because again with Helen Duncan, this was the old 1950s, actually going back to the Victorian age of ectoplasm, which is to do with how things manifested and how the person had to be in a cabinet. If you, Eric, you know about the skull experiment. Well, by then things had
Yes.
changed, right? So,
by the way, I better explain to the people about the skull experiment. And by the way, the shadow's just got across the back again. I think you might have a haunted. Oh, it's got. I think you've got a haunted room there. Definitely.
He's got a spirit.
That's right. Now, the skull experiment was done in Norfolk, place called.
Hang on. You have no idea about this house, and if you want to play another video next time, I'll show you just what's going on with spirits and other things in this house. It's quite freaky. So,
is that a spirit wandering around, or is it someone in the room walking in front of the? Now, the skull, SCOLE, I believe, is a village in Norfolk.
Yep.
It's done in between 1993 and 1998, and involved mediums and scientists. So there we go.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, skull, and actually, I mean, what's interesting though, I mean, there's a whole book, and if you go on YouTube, just type it in, and a fantastic documentary on that, and it's just for normal people. Robin Foy, who's now dead, was head of this sort of spiritualist thing, and imagine the dedication. And here again, if this was all a scam, this whole spiritualist sort of stuff was a scam. Again, they weren't linked to a church, but do you know what? They sat in the cellar, and what you have to do in these situations is you block out all natural daylight. You use a red sort of light, and that's all you can use. It's a well-known thing since the Victorian times. They sat in their cellar for, I think, 6 months to a year without very much happening. And you just sit there and you sort of, I don't know whether you ask for contact or what. I mean, I've not done all this stuff. I've gone another direction, which has had communication in a different form. But the Skull Group, if you watch their video, by the time a few years has gone by, I mean, it becomes astonishing. I mean, they get all sorts of stuff happening. But what's interesting is, unlike Helen Duncan, and again, you've got to ask yourself, well, how does, and this is my point about the state, or these above government, what I believe are, forget Parliament, from my experience, these are layers way above Keir Starmer and Parliament, and these the experiences technologically that have come and had a go at me, and also done other stuff that I will cover next time if you want me on the UFO sort of issue. But the Skull people, they were sort of left alone, and it's quite interesting. But their account is fascinating in what they had to happen. That towards the end, they even had someone come in and said, "Your experiments have started messing with the time-space matrix, and we're going to shut you down." And this was after 3 or 4 years. Their story is fantastic. I doubt if anyone would be bored watching the documentary that's on YouTube. There's one main documentary. It's fascinating. And if you find that boring, I don't know where your brain is.
I've seen it.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah.
By the way, someone says, Dave, sorry, don't mean to interject here, but David, the chat would like to know if there is someone else in the room with you causing the shadow. That appears multiple times. Now, is there someone in the room with you that's causing the shadow? That's all we really know.
No, I'm here alone, but I can play. I don't want to bore you, and Eric will get annoyed if. Right? But I have videos of.
I heard a voice earlier before we went on air.
Well, that is not there, but I have videos of. If I can play you now, if you want, but I don't want to bore you all to death. Where I have certain orb-like entities coming into my bedroom and doing very strange things like communicating and sending.
I thought you was with your partner there. Didn't she pass you something?
All right, okay, I've made all that up. Yeah, my partner's here, so that's the shadow. That's what you see. I was trying to add a bit of drama then, but all right. Anyway, let's. Can we play the last bit now?
Yeah.
This is,
here we go.
Right, so this is and again, how's it changed since the 1950s of Helen's day? God bless her. Died in a bloody hospital after the police raid. This is now. I got invited. I did a talk on exopolitics in Harrogate for this spiritual group, a Christian group, and then the guy that was in charge of that said, "Come. By the way, and this is a secret group that had been going for like 10 years." And again, they had the blacked out windows. And this is not my thing. I was shit scared, right, to go into this thing, and my God, was it a revelation? They had a whole system set up with spirits. Can I? Oh, I can't show my camera at the moment, but I was going to show you what basically what had happened with. I took certain thing implement. I said, well, if you are a spiritualist seance group, raise up this item, and I took things in, and my God, there's a picture coming up that Patrick will show in a minute where not only did I shake hands with a dead person, and don't forget, in this Harrogate circle, it's full of middle class grannies, and a few other. They'd had the partners die, and they wanted to know if they could contact them. And then I turn up in the middle of this, and what happened? It's this guy, as you'll hear now, the what they call the gatekeeper, which was again sounds cliche, but this is how it is. Was a Red Indian called Red Cloud, right? He was in charge of the spiritual side that came in, including a Victorian chimney sweep. Sounds bizarre, but this happened. So here is, and what I want to get over is instead of Helen Duncan or any other medium being in a cabinet, go on YouTube. You'll see all this with ectoplasm. Things have changed since then. It's used a new form of energy, and what happened this time is we had a medium who's female called I can't give a name. I better not give a name. Let's call her Mary, and then her husband. Let's call him Dick. Who basically what they did then, the medium channeled this energy in from the ether. Okay, ether. This is not a strange term. This is what Tesla has referred to. You know, it's not a wacky term. Tesla's referred to this. The ether is an ionized state of intelligent matter. That's what it is. And the way they communicate it, and what press play already. Right. Okay, you. That's the sound of a chair. I think it's cool. We can talk about demons.
The tail's up in the air. Yeah.
Oh, it's because it's not quite.
You wish to say something in the air? Out of the alphabet. A, B, C, D, A, B, D, A. David.
David, right, listen.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I word. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N. Was it N, please? N. You know. I know.
Yeah, Hatchy, good point. Patrick, stop. Can you stop it? Right, okay. I understand now why Patrick's brought that in, because of course we've got 2 minutes to go. All I want to say is what they used there was the spirits, the leader, and Hatchy's just pointed about Red Cloud, Wounded Knee, might be the same person. There's no time to go into it now, but essentially a chair was then rocked by the spirits, so that rocking, that clattering sound was, and as the chair moved from side to side, they used to go A, B, C, D. That's how they got the words about what they were trying to. So if you heard it spelled out, then no time to play it. It spelled out my name, David, because I just turned up. This is my second visit to this, and they used the chair to rock A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And that was their system of how to then get over. So they used the chair, a chair, to then get the alphabet over, right? But
A, B, C, D, E,
A, B, C. Okay. Takes a bit more explaining, but we've run out of time. It's up to you, Eric.
Don't worry, let's calm down. I mean, Hatchy has said that Red Cloud was at the battle of Wounded Knee Creek.
That's neat, right? And he might be dead right. I don't know if that's the same Red Cloud or not. It sounds like a cliche Indian name, but I don't know. But good point.
Communication was with the table in the air, by the way.
So you're asking what David done?
Are you going to tell him then?
Are you going to tease him?
You can't really spell out
All right, yeah. So it needs explanation, that, but essentially what was happening there was that the partner of the main medium we're all sat around a table in this darkened area, and remember, this is, I turned up there, I knew nothing about this whole thing, I wasn't even into this whole area of seances, but essentially that they're spelt out, and then But what then that supposed gatekeeper of the spirits, not only did they then tell me about a lot of things to do with my life and to do with some of the stuff that was going on about that time that blew my mind. And you got to ask you, how on earth did this group know that, right? If it's all fake, how? But on top of that, a lot more happened as well, that they went on about some of the other stuff that I was doing with my partner too, with the UFO contacts and how to bring it together and other stuff. So it was an amazing situation, and it's not one that I turned up to gladly. I was I really didn't want to go, but we can go into that a bit more, and I've got more clips of that to do with
Yes.
that seance and what it meant. But we can
No,
do that another time.
that's interesting. I mean, I've actually witnessed, I don't know whether it's a seance or what you would call it, but I was about 11, 12 years old, and it was quite terrifying. Twice I've witnessed something, and I also had spiritual healing done on me, which worked.
Eric.
Yeah.
So our next hour's guest was going to be Dr. Miles Fleetwood. I noticed
That's
he
right.
was in the studio at the beginning of the first hour. Maybe he didn't get the message about
That's
being
why I
in the
finished.
second.
That's what I thought.
He's
Let's
coming in.
bring him on.
I believe he thinks he's coming on about. I said from about 9 o'clock to 9:30.
Okay, that's fine.
So that's what I mean. So
Okay.
he's definitely coming on, because Miles, when he says a time, he works on it. So and so thanks for that, Patrick. I didn't realise that Miles was in there, but I think he's been watching the program, so he can get the gist. And Jolly Man has just talked about Foo Fighters, so that's interesting. So,
I love Foo Fighters, the band, and I love the Foo Fighters phenomenon itself. Fantastic. Where did that come from? World War II.
World War II, yes, the Foo Fighters. And I actually went to a talk by Michael Bentine, who was the fourth goon, and he talked about Foo Fighters, and he said when they introduced better oxygen masks during World War II, the reports of Foo Fighters dropped like a stone. He said but he said there were still reports coming in. So that's quite interesting, you know. But anyway, sorry, David, I interjected there. Carry on.
No, well, I've that's me done. I mean, bring your next guest on. I'll stay on and listen. But I mean, that's it. I just my main goal was to go, well, look, how does truth, again, if we don't believe the Nord Stream pipeline blew up, well, how does that change when we've got firsthand, if we go and involve ourselves in these strange situations, whether it's observing the Nord Stream pipeline, like you're right, Art Nelly, seeing it get blown up, or, and also in other ways that I was going to do with, well, also, how do the British state, police, politicians, intelligence agencies, or even the Illuminati, as I call them, Illuminati, when do they choose to go in and intervene if they think you're doing stuff that might contradict or cause them problems? And that's always been a long-term interest of mine. Well, when do the state and these higher level people, when do they? We all think, oh, I'm a target. Well, actually, no. It's a little bit different to what people think, and it's in stranger areas that are a priority than people think.
Well,
I haven't.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interject there, but the state, they're very skillful at programming what you think and, shall we say, manipulating what you think. And this is the big problem. For example, about UFOs, in the Victorian times, people talked about seeing strange airships.
Yeah.
Because that was the only flying machines they had, were airships, you know. Hello, what's this? Got a TV license? Oh dear, no, I haven't got one actually.
No, that's me. That shouldn't have got there. That was me when the BBC were asking me. I don't know how that got there. So I did tick. I haven't, but I did tick. I've got one. All right. So Patrick's. All right. So I'm going to end here. Then I'll go onto the sidelines while the next guest has come on. That actually. So again, remember at this place in Harrogate, again, seance like Helen Duncan, but in a different situation. We were sat there. Our hands were all on the table. It was like it's like a you put your hands and link them together in a sort of right. Okay, and that's called the new energy format, and that's what replaced the ectoplasm of the. So you don't need a medium anymore. If you look at the skull experiment and you watch, they'll say we're now into a different era. And why? Because so many mediums like Helen Duncan died or got injured because if something went wrong, then this ectoplasm, which is like a huge cosmic Earth energy, it burns and it can really make you ill. Okay, so that's changed, and the spirit teams above us, right, made it safer. But so I'm just going to say this. So when the lights went out the first time I was there, then this little boy, was he called Alfie? Luke, sorry, right. Luke, who was he a chimney sweeper? It sounds he was a chimney sweeper for Victor, and he's like, "All right there, mate," and then there's "All right there," and he had a voice like that. And again, this was coming out of thin air, right? This wasn't coming from any person. It wasn't, and I want to point out that in Harrogate, it's full of rich old grannies. That's mostly who were out to this. There's like 5 or 6 of them. None of them, they weren't blaggers. They weren't trying to take the piss and go, "We're going to take the mickey out of David, who's just turned up. He's coming from bloody Hebden Bridge. We're going to take the mickey and set." No, right? But so this guy turned up, and before I went in, the medium put 3 or 4 pieces of copper wire in front of me. I was like, "Why are you doing that?" I go, wait and see, David, wait and see. Right, copper wire. Right, the lights go out, red light only, and like 5, 6, 10 minutes into it, the next minute I have someone in the middle of this. So the table has got a space in the middle of it. The next thing I know is someone with a rubber hand. Remember that plasma rubber hand? How do you create beings? You can't always do things like facial features or the tips. What the fingertips with when a huge detail. It takes a lot of energy to make. So what happened then? This boy who started talking about how he'd love to come back. He used to be a chimney sweep. But then the next thing I know, into my hand, I feel thrust these figures here made from a piece of wire. Now, none of the old grannies, bless them, all like 50, 60, 70 around me, none of those would have created. He said, "I've made you 2 friends. Here's 2 friends. My name's Alfie. Sorry, Luke. Sorry. Sorry. My name's Luke. I've made you 2 friends. Here you go." And these were thrust into my hand. Well, none of those people around me were going to do that. So a spirit made these things. Yeah, and thrust them into my hands. That's what I'm saying. That's my experience. I'm a huge skeptic. I didn't believe a word of this until there's one. I've got a lot more to say on that thing, but I'll leave it there.
Well, that segues into our next guest, Dr. Miles Fleetwood, because I've often said that there are doctors and there's healers and there's doctor healers. And if you go and see a quack from the NHS, you probably just see a doctor who's probably read up very much on books, much the same way as I've read up on repairing my car, but they're not healers. But if you've got a doctor and a healer together, then you've got gold. And next guest, I think you really do hit gold here. But we've also got a new feature that's coming up on the show, which is a news item. And so to segue in, I'll just play the news item. And I've actually now it would be a good idea if I change this over here. So I've got a lot of tapping to do and things to do to get the news item in. So where are we? I've got it now. So this is our People's News, 4th of December 2026. Hello and welcome to the People's News. That's a totally mainstream news, or lack of it, free zone. Item 1. Food news. Good quality food is becoming more difficult to source. Thanks to the bowler hat farmer, farmers are now starting to sell their quality produce to the public direct. In addition to this, natural health providers are also forming a nationwide and international network where people can source high quality natural health at an affordable price. For more information, please go to https://foodfindershub.org. So that's https://foodfindershub.org. 2. Supporting and bringing the community together at Stansted Abbots in Hertfordshire, England. Hostilic Health with Joe, Reiki master teacher, Reiki and Reiki drum practitioner, drum journey meditations, sister circles, aromatherapy, workshops, essential oils, spiritual business and life coaching. Contact www.instagram.com/JOS_holistic_therapy. 3. Natural health. Natural health practitioner Dr. Fleetwood is now studying an affordable product that will help and cure many common ailments. For more information, please see Eric Von Essex Show, dated Sunday the 4th of January 2026, on YouTube, Rumble, Telegram, Soapbox Radio, Holy Land Radio, Holy Land Radio FM, BitChute, or Podhome FM. Or you could go onto the Fockham Hall Telegram channel, https://t.me/Fockham Hall, or all the W's, fockhamhallradio.com, which is the website. This concludes this week's People's News. And here we go. And that was it. And shortly we hope to have our guest on tonight, Dr. Miles Fleetwood, who's actually in the green room now as we speak. And he's got to press some buttons. And good evening, Dr. Miles Fleetwood.
Here I am.
Welcome to the show. And I believe that we got the team. We've got this show is brought to you thanks to Patrick. So Patrick, and also our previous guest, who's, hang on, where's he gone? He's gone. David. He's still in the studio. That's it. And David is in the green room as well. So thank you for coming on. And the news was an experiment. I hope it works. It was a bit rushed, as you can hear, and it was a bit garbled, but we'll improve upon it next week. Would you like to start, Miles? Would you like to go about this product?
I've got a fantastic link to the last guest that you had on. Thank you very much. Please don't think this is just a little ditty. It's just a little joke that I'm saying. I've got a great link to it. I don't know if you realise though, but ghosts and ghouls and spirits need food as well. Did you know that, Chris?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Well, what do you think their favourite food is?
I wouldn't have a clue. You
don't have any clue at all? No?
No.
Oh, okay then. It's spaghetti.
Oh, someone should have hit it. Yes, I like that one. Yes, just spaghetti. Yes, it's a good one. Yes.
Followed by ice cream.
Ice cream, yeah.
Ice cream.
Ice cream. Oh, crumbs!
And where do they get all of that? At the
I don't know.
Store.
Oh, bloody hell! It's thick and fast tonight, isn't it? I like that one. Yeah.
If I've worked on that, they're my best jokes.
I'll tell you something. Your shop. Hang on, we got a little bit of a echo. What's going on?
Maybe I'm too loud.
Sorry.
You okay, mate?
Should be good now. Should be good now.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to say, your shop is haunted, isn't it? Because it's a very old shop. It's got jetties over the top.
I have to be very careful what I say here, but we've had some strange goings on in there. Yes, we have. Interestingly, to the extent that we had a ghostbuster come in, not to bust the ghost, but unfortunately that's what he appears to have done. There were 3 fellas sat there all night. It was a very strange thing to do in my health food shop. And had all of this sort of test equipment for ectoplasm and low level radiation and all these kind of temperature. And they got nothing. They got absolutely nothing. And then the one that I knew the most, who was an ex-policeman actually, said that he was going to put a torch in the treatment room, and he left it so it was one of those torches where you screw the end onto.
I know what you mean. Yes.
And you screw it up and it comes on, and you unscrew it and it comes off, sort of thing. It turns off, and he put it just at the level where it would. It could possibly come on deliberately, and he put it in the treatment room, and he said, if there's anybody here, then light the torch up. And he walked away from it, and the torch lit up. And remember they're sitting in pitch darkness at this stage. Like I say, complete loonies. And well, I say that as my interpretation of it. If there's a ghost, there's a ghost. If there isn't, there isn't. I don't not believe in them, funnily enough. And then he said, just to confirm that, can you turn it off again? And sure enough, the light went off again. The torch went off again. So do we take that as temperature fluctuations or vibrations, or do we take it that there's a spirit there? I don't know. But he did one thing that kind of upset me in a way, because this ghost, we've had other weird things going on, and some of them quite spooky, you know. But he asked the ghost to leave, and that he was told him that he'd now passed on and he was no longer an entity, a physical entity. And since then, we've had no paranormal what would you call it? Experiences, I suppose.
Yes.
And yeah, that's a bit sad in a way, because it never did us any harm.
It's quite friendly, isn't it?
Yeah,
but,
it's quite passive.
I get good vibes when I'm in your shop. I don't get any negativity. I'm normally very sensitive. Very sensitive to things like that. And I mean, in that treatment room, I mean, you know, when you put the old needles in, you're in sort of semi-darkness. You know, I thought it was great. I thought it was nice.
I do that
nice.
just to frighten the living daylights out of you.
But no, it's a really nice shop, because I mean, it's a wonder it's not listed, because the upper floor is wider than the lower floor. You've got jetties, which is and you've got a very strange carving on the corner of a male with a beard, but a female body.
Yeah, breasts, and yet a moustache and a beard, and I'm told that's a figurehead off of a ship, like a medieval ship.
Really?
Yeah, I've never followed that up. I should do, really. Of course, the beams in there are all from old medieval ships and what have you. So it's solid oak, and my goodness, they're really, really strong, really strong.
They are, and that column that's in your shop
in the middle,
you can actually see the tree. It's that oldie worldy. You can actually see where they. So again, it should be listed, because Waltham Abbey,
it's what they call conservation area. So you're not allowed to alter the front of it, but quite honestly, I think you are allowed to alter the inside, which is weird, but there you go. It was built in 1642, I believe.
Really?
So, yeah. So
and that's interesting.
That's,
and
that's sort of 20 to 5 in the afternoon, isn't it?
it's like an old colonel when came into your place, and you said, when was the last time you made love? And he said 1952. He said, that's a long time ago. He said, I don't know, it's 2,000 hours now. Anyway, Barefoot Foreigner has said, did interesting things happen in your street, Miles?
In my street?
In your street?
Where the shop is, or my home? Because no, neither actually. So I don't know why I'm saying it.
No,
not to my knowledge. No. I'm sorry to say. But we've of course got the Abbey itself, which is probably about 100 yards away, something like that.
That's right.
From the shop, and supposedly the resting place disputed. I don't know whether that's right or not, but
well, Harold, no, it's been moved.
Bring that up as a subject.
Yeah, it's been moved 4 times apparently.
Oh, has it?
Yeah, but apparently I was told by the people in the Abbey that it definitely is Harold. Harold is definitely buried there, and the roof of the building is actually Victorian, because the Victorians did the Abbey up. But as I say to everybody, you look at it and it looks huge from the outside. That is Waltham Abbey. And when you go inside, it's quite small compared.
Well, yeah,
because of all the buttresses and everything. Smaller. Yes, and I'm hoping to do touch wood. I'm hoping to do a film around there.
Very, in its own way, very pagan. The insides of the church, actually. I'll probably be stoned for this tomorrow when I get to work, but it's got the season starting in April, which would be the spring. So this was the pagan New Year. As far as I'm aware, I'm not a pagan, but it's as far as I'm aware, it is. And black and white tiles on the floor, so very much dark and light. Yeah, it's got a lot of, and there's a few other characteristics about it. Very, very old though, 1,000 years old. So yeah.
Oh crumbs! It really is old. And when you walk around there, I think the council, they could do a better job of. They could actually make that like the shambles in Yorkshire if they wanted to, because it's so oldie worldy.
Yeah,
but they don't. It's lack of investment that's done it. But it is very oldie worldy around there. And you know, I know that when Nathan came and his young lady Holly, they're interested in the Bigfoot sightings in the Lee Valley. But the trouble is, you can't drive into the Lee Valley. Only the people, the lumberjacks, if you want to call them that, or the people that work on the trees, are allowed to drive in the Lee Valley. There's roads in there, but you can only go. You can only cycle or walk there.
It's only the rangers are allowed in. With
Rangers, that's right. Yes, that's right. But what we're going to say,
I used to run round there, and I used to see a lot of Bigfoot. But there were other runners with oversized trainers on, I think.
Well, actually, I had a Bigfoot as well. I stubbed my bleeding toe up on the pavement. But now, Barefoot Foreigner says Nathan has loads of exciting health issues.
Okay.
Is Miles taking questions tonight? Well,
yes, I can do. So. I was going to give you a little chat about bone broth versus collagen. But,
you've given away what this mystery what I said on the news. this thing which I'm hoping to get because of my sciatica. So there we go.
Yeah. Well, let's do some questions and see where we go after that. If it goes quiet, well, then we'll talk about bone broth and collagen.
So come on, Barefoot Foreigner. What's the health issues that Nathan has got? Nothing too rude, or you know, remember it's a family show, so you know he hasn't, has he? He didn't. Actually, you met Nathan and Holly when they came into your shop last.
Yes, I did.
That's what. Yes.
I can't see them on this. Are they in chat then? Or?
They're in chat, at the moment. But we'll just wait. Now, the thing is, you're going to talk about bone broth, which is upsetting all the vegetarians. All go now. But look, don't worry. You know, I've got great respect. We've both got great respect for vegetarians, vegans, and any diet and all that. So everybody's welcome.
But I could never eat a whole one. Is that what I'm
That's right.
Say?
Yes.
No.
I like that one.
Okay, so. Let's deal with them first because it's an interesting area. You can, there's no doubt, you can make collagen from products that you can get from vegetation. If you're trying to heal something, though, that's broken and pretty badly broken, and that's where I was going with all of the, and turn it into a silly joke about the Bigfoot in the Lee Valley and me running around there. When I had two good legs, I used to run very often. I used to do quite a lot of running. And one of my favourite runs was through Lee Valley Park. And I'd run up to somewhere around about, I'm trying to think where that, Dobbs Weir.
Trying to
think of the name.
That's a long way.
It was. It's about 8 to 10 miles, the complete circuit. And that would be the longest run I'd do in that area. But I injured my leg very badly. It was a stupid thing to do. It was a high jump competition. So there I am. I've played rugby for a very senior rugby team as an amateur, because it was amateur in my day. I was a junior athlete, and then I go to a stupid school sports day with my nieces, and my niece said to me, I want to do the high jump. Can you show me how to do it? And the year before, talk about catalogue of disasters. The year before, evidently, they'd had a race around the field, 2 laps of the field for the father's race. And one person went to hospital because they had a heart attack, which I shouldn't laugh, but it's the shock of it. Well, this one, it was, they decided to scrap that and they're going to do high jump instead.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not the father, but I was the uncle to my niece, and she said, "Oh, I want to take off." So I've jumped before, and I used to be okay at it. I'm not great, but okay at it. I showed her how to high jump, and it was into a sand pit. So originally I was taking off from my right leg and doing what they call a straddle of the high jump bar.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a straddler either. When I was actually doing any high jump I was never really competitive at high jump, but at school then I was doing Fosbury flop. So now I'm doing this, and she said, "I can't do that. I'm going to do scissors," which is another technique at high jump, probably the least technical technique that you're going to have, actually. Mm-hmm. And so I said, "Okay." So I took off on my right leg, did the scissors, cleared 175. The bar was at, so quite pleased with that. And she said, "Oh, no, I want to take off on my left leg." And I'm, "Oh, you're having a laugh. This is not what I want to be doing." So she said, "Oh, come on, Uncle, show me how it's done. Show me how it's done." So I showed her how it wasn't done. I took off on my left leg, which means that you land on your right leg, and lo and behold, managed to dislocate my knee on landing. So, trying not to alarm my niece, I popped it back in myself, which I wouldn't recommend for the faint-hearted. It actually wasn't that bad. I've had more pain in my life, but then you want to hear what happened there.
Yeah, carry on.
So moved my leg about while I'm rolling around in the sandpit and thought, "Oh, well, that's articulating and it's moving okay." So got up, stood on it and put weight to it and managed to get it to completely dislocate again. So within about 30 seconds, end of my run. Well, I had to do it because it either meant wearing a brace for the rest of my life on the leg or having an operation to repair the anterior and the medial collapse knee injury. Footballers get it quite a lot. They get ACL, anterior cruciate ligament ripped. Well, I had 3 of them.
I think we lost.
Had the operation and all of that kind of thing, and was told by the lovely surgeon that I would need to have a knee replacement within about 10 years. And this was when I was 44. So he said by 55, you're going to need a knee replacement. Mm-hmm. And I sort of said, well, we'll see about that. And I worked with it, and I did the opposite in a way of what I've been told to do. I ran on it. I didn't run as far as that because I just couldn't. The pain was too much. Mm-hmm. But I strengthened it up tremendously. And I wish I'd carried on, but cold weather, dampness affects it, etc., etc. Now, because I'm coming to the important bit. So this year, the first year ever, I actually had problems just walking. This leg was getting very, very painful. And literally just walking a couple of 100 yards from my car to the shop and things like that. So, and it happened about November time. We had a cold spell.
I remember that,
cold
yes.
spell that sparked it off. And Chris, very... actually, I'll say that bit in a moment. was the thing that was to blame. On my, I had a bones right next to the Achilles tendon, to the fact that my gait has been altered by this thing, and it's altered the way in which I walk. And Chris at that stage told me to wear a certain manufacturer's type of shoe, and it helped him with his bone spur, and his had actually gone. And I got the same shoes as he said, and they were too tight. So I'm waiting for the replacements to come in. I don't know whether they work or not. So Chris says they do.
Well, they did with me. They did with me. But what I was going to sort of go talk about is the amount of people with back problems at the moment. And I mean, sciatica. I've never had sciatica before. This has been with me for weeks.
Well, I'm coming to that bit.
Well, that's right. But I suppose I don't know whether they're going to have Richard Vobes come on the show. He may do. He may not do. I don't know. And he has a very bad back. And I've never seen him, so he's really changed his personality. He's normally sort of, bubbly. He's always full of laughter and that. And the poor soul, what happened? He was getting into his van, he slipped, and to avoid impaling himself on a pitchfork, he twisted himself in a funny sort of way. This was about 7 weeks ago, and he can hardly move. Now, my sciatica came on about 4 weeks ago. And you were saying today when we spoke that it's something could be with the weather.
Yeah, in Chinese terms, and I go back to Chinese terms because for natural medicine, it's probably the most complete natural medicine system of any system out there, the Chinese medicine. It's that or Ayurvedic medicine, and it's the Ayurvedic practitioners, I'm sure, will say that theirs is the most complete. I'm not an Ayurvedic practitioner. I feel that I am a Chinese practitioner. I feel that the Chinese is the most complete. There's certainly a lot of overlap, and there's certainly a lot of things that both of them do and use the same kind of herbs and dietary measures and what have you. Coming back to what I was going to say, though, I've taken glucosamine for this knee, and it helps, but it never really gets it right. If I'm in a cold, damp spell, it's a cold, damp spell. And we're talking more about cold, damp spells in a moment. So as an off chance, I actually thought, oh, look, everyone is saying that bone broth can help you an awful lot. So I invested in some bones, which were absolutely free. That's the kind of investment I like. And then I boiled them for about 6 hours with the tiniest bit of lemon juice in there to try and break down the bone a little bit to make it a bit more acidic, and drank the juice. Yeah, that lasted me 2 days. And it was a lot of work to do for 2 days. I don't know whether that worked better, worse, or about the same as the stuff that I've got, because there was a gap then. So I bought this one. Can you see it?
Yes.
Beef bone broth. Now, beef bone broth contains, I don't know if you can see that, all of those amino acids, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And these are the building blocks of you and everybody. And so in here, if you've got the right balance of nutrients, as in vitamins, minerals, and essential fats, the thing that you need, because you're made up of protein, are amino acids. And amino acids build new you. I took this. I couldn't actually believe it. 3 days later, I was pain-free. I was walking as if it was coincidence. It's just, it can't. Keep up. And basically what this is doing is rebuilding collagen in my, amongst other things, the tissues, and restructuring those tissues of mine. It's not that that's doing it, it's me that's doing it. It's my powers of rebuild.
Your body's repairing itself.
Otherwise, it won't be here for very long. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
that's right. I mean,
So
I
got through
yeah.
got through a couple of tubs of that, and it's not cheap gear, I must admit. That's nearly 40 quid's worth, and it lasts for 18 days.
But if you're in pain, it's worth it, isn't it?
Well, if it's gone through 2 tubs of that and was a bit reluctant to try this one. Tendons and ligaments. And honestly, it's not quite as good. Well, I don't think it is. But the other thing that the beef bone broth did, I was sleeping better. I felt more centered. I felt more energy. It was phenomenal. Now, I've lost that with the tendon and ligament one. And these amino acids that are in the beef bone are also chemicals that make up the chemicals in your brain, the catecholamines that they're called. And these brain chemicals make you feel what you're feeling. They make you feel good. They make you
Eric,
really?
I have a suggestion for Dr. Miles to go out of the studio and then come back in, because he's coming through very choppy.
Yeah. You keep fading in and out, so you could come out the studio and come back in again, mate. There seems to be some bug.
We want to hear what you're saying.
Yeah, and we can't hear you. Okay, thanks, Patrick.
No problem.
Yeah.
Right, I'm leaving now, and I'll be back in about 30 seconds.
But Miles, I believe he's out of stock at the moment with this bone broth, but he will due to come in, I think, either Tuesday or Wednesday, and that's when I'm going to go in and pick some up for my sciatica, because I've never had sciatica before. But the weird thing is that it goes, and then it during the daytime I haven't got the sciatica, and it comes on about I've got it starting now. About 9:30 at night, it comes on, and then when I wake up in the morning, I'm sort of, I'm in agony with my knee rather, and then about 2 hours later, it's gone. That's it. That's better. You're really clear now. Better? That's 1,000 times better. Thanks, Patrick, for noticing that. I was just said about the sciatica, and I was making people feel sorry for me because I want sympathy. And the strange thing is, it's all right during the day. It's about 9:30 in the evening, bleeding comes on, and then wake up in the morning, my leg, after I sort of walked on it for about a couple of hours, and it's all right. I'm all right again. It goes completely. But you did explain it to me. It was about the collagen, wasn't it? And how it's and I've actually been using that. Do you remember when I had that little touch of arthritis?
Who, me?
Yeah, do you remember when I had that touch of arthritis and you gave me that? I've got some of that. Oh, what was it? You just mentioned it.
Oh, the chondroitin. Glucosamine and chondroitin.
Glucosamine. And I've had it in the fridge ever since because my arthritis cleared itself up. I think I had a bit of acupuncture and it cleared up. It went. So I've had it in the fridge looking at me, and I thought, I might try that for my knee. I don't know if it's doing any good or not, but I'm in the morning, not swinging it. Yeah.
Right. Well, glucosamine and chondroitin, and there's another one called Celadrin, commercially available products that actually resurface the cartilage. If you've got cartilage on a joint, this will put a new layer of cartilage down. You'll grow it. But if you've got none, so if it's bone on bone, unfortunately you won't grow it. It needs some of the original material, because you have what are called mast cells in there that will create new tissue if given the right circumstances. So coming back to what this is doing, what the collagen's doing, we'll start with the collagen, which is the wrong way round, really. I took the bone broth first, but the collagen would make the tendons and ligaments, if you're getting sciatica, will make the tendons and ligaments work better. It makes them more elastic. It makes them more resistant to strains and sprains. And it makes them stronger. It builds them stronger. So for me, I mean, that's what I ripped apart. Mine were rebuilt with actually a carbon fibre was put into mine. No, it wasn't. Sorry, I donated my own. I've just remembered. I had a choice. Sorry, I forgot that. I had a section of my hamstring taken, and they replaced the ligaments with that. But what actually happens, it grows into that tissue and grows a new tendon, and ligament. And so it could be that it's just particularly successful with me on that, but I don't think it is. I think it would help. I think it would help most people. And for your sciatica, if it is an impinged nerve in your back, for example,
it's in my knee. It started up with the upper thigh, and it's moved down to my knee for some unknown reason. It's going downwards, and my knee, in the first thing in the morning, clicks like anything. You feel it's going to fall off. Going. I feel like real Roy Rogers on Trigger. You know?
Again, if it's held it structurally in the right position, then it will tend not to be so clicky. I mean, clicking, funnily enough, is said not to be a big problem. I mean, it's pretty disturbing. I've had it myself, but it doesn't actually hurt, and it doesn't evidently damage the joint. But if you want to get rid of that, if you want to stop that from clicking, you need to improve the synovial fluid, the quality of the synovial fluid in the joint, and then you'll get, that's called crepitation, and you'll get a lot less, maybe no crepitation. Obviously, something's wrong with your leg. Otherwise, you wouldn't get the site. I don't think it's from your knee. If it's from your knee, I'd be surprised. It normally goes down. The pain goes down from where the injury or the impingement is. So it would normally be that you're getting pain in your buttock, and it goes down to the back of the leg.
That's right.
Is the most common, through the knee, and sometimes then comes around the side of the leg, the lower leg. So if it's basically you've got this going on, and if the space in between was the cartilage, and you've got this is touching here and rubbing on the nerve, then that could be your vertebra doing this and actually impinging on that nerve and rubbing that nerve away. Similar sort of thing happens in people's wrists when they get carpal tunnel syndrome. It actually is inside the wrist. You've got these, I can't really show it on here. You've got these bones all the way around here, which are the carpal bones, and they have a hole right the way through the middle, so that the nerve can connect to. So you've got sensory sensations going on in the hand, and it rubs the outside of that nerve away. We can rebuild that. In fact, that's almost exclusively vitamin B6. They're called Schwann cells. And anyone who's got carpal tunnel syndrome, you need to check out, obviously, if you're on any medication, but up to quite high dosage, sort of 300 milligrams, something like that. And within a week, you'll start to see it improving, because you'll actually start rebuilding those Schwann cells.
It's the myelin. Really? Could that be all right for me knee? That B6?
It depends on what's actually happening, and we'll have a chat about it this week, coming, and see what we can do with it. So what this does, it rebuilds collagen, which helps the cartilage work properly. It helps it to function properly. You get a smoother operating joint, you get pain reduction, and one of the things in here, glycine, an amino acid, the most simple amino acid in there, is actually a very good anti-inflammatory as well. So that's why the bone broth, I feel, is probably better than the
that's on my shopping list. That's on my shopping list. And now the thing is, Exo, who is a gentleman that's been on tonight, David. Hello, mate. What about this mysterious water layer no medical types talk about called the interstitium layer? What on earth's that?
He's got me there. I don't know. Water layer.
Hang on, he said, or
interstitial layer. Are you talking about the synovial fluid in the joint, or are you talking about something that I don't know much about? Interstitial, yeah. I don't know. Maybe I do, but I'm not getting the right things coming to my head. I don't know it.
No. Now, I think when you're talking about this with the wrist, I think Hereditary Skepfoot said we call it Makita syndrome. I've never heard of it.
No, nor have I. Well, that's the same as carpal tunnel syndrome, is it?
I don't know. But now, is Nathan going to come on? Is he going to tell us all his ailments? Now, come on, Nathan. Don't be shy. Tell us your ailments. And so
we'll mute anybody it so only we can hear.
Yes, that's right. And they go, really? No, but seriously, any ailments you've got, please put them through to Dr. Miles Fleetwood. And of course, his address and telephone number is not in my crutch. It's just below here in the description. So it's his address in Waltham Abbey, and it's fantastic because when you sit in his shop, you can actually see the Abbey. You actually see it. It's very close to the Abbey itself. It's quite a view. It really is. Oh, here, Exo's just explained it. Hang on. I can confirm that Miles is a great acupuncturist.
Right.
Assisted me. This is Pantheo 9473 with gout. Oh, hello, Penny. Gout in my knee and various other issues. He also assisted my dad's eyesight from 620 to 1320. Fact.
Yeah, his dad had some big eye problems, but I can't go into them unless I had sort of permission to do so. But
I fully understand. Yeah.
And I mean, that's not. I can be anonymous about things, and this is not about Penny's father. With acupuncture, we've actually done some pretty amazing things in the shop. There was one person who had an ailment called, good point. What's it called? It's called retinal vein occlusion, and what that means is that the vein at the back of the eye that supplies the blood to the eye goes into torsion, so it twists and causes a lack of blood flow to the eye. And I was working with a builder who had this problem and went blind overnight with it. It must be horrendous to wake up and not be able to see. And everyone was saying, no, it's incurable at this level and all this kind of thing. And I said, well, what do you want to do? You know, I'd worked with him before because he'd injured his leg, of all things. He eats beef bone broth. And we worked with it and we worked with it and we worked with it. And I'm not kidding. We did 2.5 to 3 years work of at least once a week acupuncture treatments. And as far as I know, he's discharged now, but as far as I know, he is still got his sight, he still drives, and he still operates reasonably heavy machinery. And he's not a young man. He's got about 10 years on me, so he's about 74.
Wow.
So, and fit as they come, though. He's very... He's a very fit guy. Yeah, he's a very fit guy.
Is that the builder that comes in your... I have a laugh and joke with him occasionally. He's very... He's
no,
in his 70s.
No.
Now, Exo at the... Sorry, I didn't mean to probe like that, because I realised your patients are very private to yourself. I'm terribly sorry about that, Miles. The
exists between the structural barrier, like the skin, and internal organs, including muscles and something. Yeah, okay. it's not water. It is an interstitial space filled with various different types of fluid. For example, in the spine, you've got 3 different fluids that I can think of. You've got the spinal fluid, which actually has its own pulse. You actually find that the
Really?
spine doesn't have the same pressure in it all the time, and the pressure varies during the length of the spinal column. And also,
Okay.
so
that's
sorry?
interesting. We got a guest in the studio. Sorry, I'll just say that. So please carry on. I didn't mean to cut in on you there. Sorry.
And another one is the synovial fluid, which sits in between the cartilage. So you've got little pockets of cartilage, which are called discs. You've probably heard of people saying, "Oh, I've got a slipped disc." Well, it's not slipped; it's ruptured. They don't slip; they're anchored quite. If they do slip, there'd be a massive problem actually. They're anchored to the bone reasonably well, and what happens is they rupture because they lose their structure, so they lose their strength. Again, bone broth would strengthen that up. It would, but it'd be a long time to do it. Don't get me wrong; it's not going to be like
that's right. It's not overnight.
Well, my leg was overnight, virtually 3 days, and I was feeling improvement.
Really?
It would be probably 3 to 6 months before you saw any real decent improvements, but it would help you. And then what was the other one? Oh, the interstitial. Oh, it's just in between the skin, and it allows the skin to give a little bit between its layers. And so that I would say is over the back as well as everywhere else. So, so what did you want to know about it? Let me have a little look. The interstitial is a contiguous fluid-filled space that exists between structural barriers like the skin and internal organs, including muscles. And yeah, it's a kind of lubricant that helps you to move. But there'll be different types of fluids. They're not actually water. Well, I don't know of one that's water. Just having a think.
Yeah. Barefoot Foreigner said, "Can you help children's eyes, probably affected by the old
who knows?
It's
an awkward one. I'm going to briefly tell you where this gentleman who had the central retinal vein occlusion had needles, and you'll see why it's an awkward one. One of them goes across. I can't do it because it looks wrong in there. So I'm going to not look at it. One of them goes across here. Another one in the side of the eye here. Another one goes in the cheek here and up to the eye. And then take these off. We actually bend a needle and we insert it here and we roll it around the back of the eye. And then the worst one of the lot is right in the corner there. And what this is doing is bringing more blood flow to that area, vast amounts of blood flow, and which is what he lacked because of the fact that the vein contorted and strangulated itself, the back of the eye, so the cells died. Well, he must have had enough recuperative powers to make that grow some new cells and to recover some of the damaged cells.
Wow.
But I don't see a child letting me put needles anywhere near their eyes. I would think that's highly unlikely that they would let me do that.
Now, Exa said virtually the same as what my mum was. My mum had a knee replacement, so did my mum. And my mum's knee was at her leg was at a 45-degree angle when they finished. And it took 3 months of her to stop cursing the NHS about having it done. Yes, they did a botched job on my mum's knee as well. Awful and terrible job. And now he went on to say, and now she blesses the NHS and their care for her here it comes again. Interstitial knee fluid.
Okay.
There we go.
Well, if she's had a knee replacement, are you talking about the other knee that she's thanked them for? If you are, then great. If it's the one that she's had the knee replacement, most of the knee replacements, I actually used to design them, believe it or not. I worked at the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital in Stanmore, at the Department of Biomedical Engineering, and I was involved in research and development of knee replacements and, well, joint replacements, actually. Most of them don't need lubricating because they're a very hard metal, normally cobalt, chrome, or stainless steel. Sometimes they're a softer metal like titanium, but they're on a nylon bush, so you don't actually need lubrication for that. So I don't know quite what's happening there. If they've filled a knee with another fluid, I don't know about this as a treatment for fluid for knee problems, but very interesting, and a lot of work is going on at Stanmore at the moment in R&D to find other ways of improving knee health. So maybe it's something new that I just don't know about.
Go to Miles. That's what they should do. It saves them a lot of money. Just go to Miles. Now we're going to come on to our gentleman who's in the studio, a mystery person in the studio. I'll just read this out, and we go on to it's actually Nathan. How is the healing and success rate of knee versus hip replacement?
Wow, you'd think I'd know that working at the Royal National Orthopaedic Hospital. I was there a long time ago. I didn't have this colour hair then, and I was. It was my first ever job. I actually was there when I was 16. I was 3 days of work. I was 16. I joined on the 1st of August, and whenever it was, and I loved the job, but unfortunately, some of the people weren't so good, and because I was so young, I was very much seen as the junior member, even though I'd come up with some pretty good ideas. They seemed to be pretty good ideas. So it's kind of grated a bit, and that's when I moved to Marconi Space and Defence Systems. I was studying at the time as well. I was doing first of all an OND and then an HND in ONC and HNC in engineering, mechanical engineering. I'd completed that, and then I went to Marconi Space and Defence Systems and changed over to BSc in electronics. So very, very different to this career, very different indeed. But I enjoyed it when it. Sorry, my watch has decided to fire off. Let's take that off. Very different careers to this. I love what I do here, and it's completely different.
Fantastic. And what I was going to say now, Aunt Sally says, Nathan, I'm sure Miles will be able to help your feet grow to a proper size. Laugh out loud. Now, Nathan, you're in the studio. If you'd like to unmute your microphone, please feel free to speak to Miles.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Hello.
First of all, before I say hello properly, that was quite clever, that. Because I think we should rename you to Caligula, Little Boots.
Yes. Oh, by the way, can I cut in here? David has said about emailing and things like that. You can contact Miles with a phone number below here. Okay, just look in the description. The phone contact details will be up below here, and he can phone him. Sorry, Eric, carry on, Nathan. I'm sorry to cut in. I'm just a rude sod, that's all.
I know. But it was terrible the other day. You never should.
I know.
Couldn't get away with it. I'm joking. Well, first of all, a pleasure to meet you both in the flesh.
Yeah, likewise.
Can you hear me all right? I don't know what the internet connection's like.
Yes, and you.
Yes, you're
put the camera on.
Yeah, put the camera on if you want. Mind you, it might.
Yeah, it might eat into the bandwidth, which is what I'm a bit concerned about. So if you're all right just for the minute, I'll keep it on this. It's so. But anyway, no, it's a pleasure meeting you both.
Likewise, it's great.
Get myself and Holly to get stabbed by needles, but I'm sure at some point we might be able to take you up on that. There you go. So there's a bit of a request in the chat to get me to tell you my health problems. I'm not entirely sure that's a good idea. I mean, I've got a long list. At the minute. Oh, sorry. Hi to David as well. Because sorry, I know he's still lingering around in chat. Yeah. So hi, David. You're all right, mate.
He's also in the studio as well. He's in the green room as well. So
he is. Yeah. Very, very busy times. I don't know. I mean, what would you like to know? I mean,
well, actually,
do you have a health issue?
I've got loads of health issues, mate. Holly wants me to talk about certain ones. I'm like, no, that's not happening. At the minute, I've got cramp in my.
What about what we both suffered? Actually, Nathan, what about what we both actually suffered from? That is, what do you call it? Anxiety problems.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, I've been medicated for that for a very long time, and do you know my conclusion to that, mate? It just makes it worse. It just makes you hopelessly addicted to certain pharmaceuticals, and then trying to come off them probably does more damage than it did to go on them in the first place. So, I mean, I can tell you a few things that I've been on if it's interesting to you.
If you want to, I mean, it's your health. It's up to you whether you want to discuss that on a public platform. It's not for me to decide that.
Well, I didn't want to come on and take over. I just thought I'd come on and say hi. I'll tell you what. Okay. I'll tell you one thing I will mention. Long time ago, when I was in my late teens, my GP put me on something called Sulpiride. I don't know whether you're familiar with that.
I've heard of it. I don't know it off the top of my head. No, not realistically.
Yeah, that gave me some very interesting experiences. I got a few, let's say, premonitions and they actually happened the following night. It was bizarre. I also saw 3 little goblins on my shelf while I was on this particular drug. Anyway, I went back to the doctor. I said, look, I've got to come off this, mate. It's giving me hallucinations. And he went, well, it's not supposed to do that. I said, well, whether it's supposed to do that or not, it's definitely giving me hallucinations. So there you go. So Exo's just asked me there. Exo's David, right?
That's right. Yeah. He's actually in the studio. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll answer that one. Any opioids? Yeah, I was hooked on them for a decade. Started with codeine because of meningitis, and they decided that the codeine was the way to go to treat that. Not entirely sure where they got their information from, but of course it gives you just this nice little fuzzy feeling inside. Too nice, unfortunately. It makes you feel nice and relaxed and floaty, and then of course then you're like, oh, I wonder what happens if I double the dose, and I wonder if I take it 4 times a day, and then you get onto morphine. It's like, ooh, this is really, really nice, So wouldn't suggest people go down that particular avenue because it can be nightmarish. Again, the feeling whilst you're on it, beautiful. The feeling when coming off it, it's horrible.
What I've seen of people, especially if they have anxiety-related problems, to get to a dose where they're no longer having anxiety problems, they're sort of completely zoned out. They're not in the real world, and they're like a zombie, and that tends to be a big problem because then what do you do then? You're totally incapable of normal life. So do you cut the dose and then feel ill again, or do you just live your life being a zombie? And I wouldn't want to live a life like that. I don't think I could do it, actually.
But I'll answer that as best I can.
Yeah.
I decided to go cold turkey. Okay. Just for anyone who's not familiar, I got a history of anxiety and depression.
Yeah.
It hasn't gone away. It's just that I've just decided I don't want pharmaceuticals anymore. So it's been a bit of a tough journey coming off them. But I went cold turkey just before the lockdowns, which is great timing, isn't it? So I managed to come off pretty much everything, which included everything I was on for it, including the opiates.
Wow.
I also at the same time I did a water fast, which Holly's going to shout at me for in a minute because she said I'm not getting my electrolytes, which is true. But I had vitamin C, D, E, and salt, and probably not sufficient. But anyway, I did a 7.5 day food fast, water fast, and that was interesting. It was very difficult to do that. But anyway, I did all of this at the same time. I thought I want to just cold turkey everything, get it all done all at once, and I managed to come off them all. The only problem is, when I moved house shortly after that, my lovely neighbours, when they moved in, decided they liked all-night parties. Well, of course, that triggered the anxiety again, and so it was like, right, well, I need something to quell this. And unfortunately, I made the mistake of going back on something called pregabalin, which I don't know, you're probably familiar with that, Miles. Yeah. Yeah. And so what the doctor doesn't, I suspect a lot of people who have been put on this, what the doctors don't tell you is it's supposed to be a short-term solution. And pregab, I would imagine, is probably best at 6 months best. Well, I've been on it for about 10 years, and so coming off pregabalin is worse than coming off the opiates. Now I can short term, if I've got if I get really, really severe anxiety for whatever reason, I can go back on the morphine. Not that I'm saying I've got any, of course, but anyway, I can go back on the morphine and come back off it relatively easy without a problem. I'm used to that. The pregab, on the other hand, my God, internal itching, temperature fluctuations, which is just horrible. So on the external you can be cold, on the internal you can be warm, or vice versa. You feel twitchy, you can't sleep, your dreams are, oh God, it's a bloody nightmare. So if you've got any suggestions for that, I'd love to hear it, because I really want to come off that stuff. It is toxic to the core, which I'm sure. Oh, Holly says hi, by the way. So I'm currently staying with Holly, so she says hi to the both of you. So
hello, Holly.
And I'm sure she would she would love some suggestions if you've got any.
Okay. The anxiety and stress and depression, they're very daunting things to work with, and the problem is it's a little bit of what's right for one won't be necessarily right for the other one. So it's kind of do more than you should do, and try and fix the problem on a grand level rather than being specific about which nutrients that you take. As an example, and I didn't do the research on this. This was another nutritional. Actually, it wasn't. He was a chemist called Udo Erasmus, Dr. Udo Erasmus, and he did research.
Oh yes.
Into essential fatty acids with postnatal depression. Now you might say, what's that got to do with your problem? Well, the brain is a vast store of essential fats. Over 60% of a live brain is just fats, and so get that balance slightly wrong, and you get a tremendous change in character, personality, etc., etc. And he found that when he did research into this postnatal depression, and it was something like 96% of people completely recovered from it within like a month or something when put onto essential fatty acids of the 3 and 6 group. And that's just madness. Why aren't the medics doing that? Well, I can tell you why, because it fixes the problem, and you don't then get to a continual sale of medications. I believe that's what's going on an awful lot of the time.
Udo's oil. Am I right there, Miles?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something. You've seen the before and after with me, haven't you?
Yeah. I'd go a slightly different route, though. I've learnt a little bit as I go along. Udo's is brilliant. It's suitable for vegans and vegetarians, so I won't get any complaints from them about me being.
I'm neither of those. I like the meat, and that's probably going to offend a few people, but I do. So that's what it is.
Fish oils, then, but get a good quality fish oil. There's a lot of fish oils out there that are rubbish. They really are, and they've boiled the fish to get the fats out. Well, that completely ruins the fats. It has to be cold extracted. It has to be done in a relatively cool, dark, and preferably oxygen-free environment.
One of the other things I was warned about is, when the whole Fukushima thing happened in the Pacific, So a lot of the fish oils, they're from Pacific, so I'll only buy it from the Atlantic because obviously
Yeah.
you've got the radiation problem. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. But don't be misled. Don't take cod liver oil.
Really?
This is not about just getting a fish oil from any means. It has to really be from the flesh of the fish, unfortunately.
Right.
The cod liver oil it's my sort of pet subject list. The liver's the main organ of detoxification, and so it's living in the second most polluted sea in the world, and South China Sea being the most polluted, and so the liver is working permanently to detox that fish. So the toxins build up in the liver. You're eating toxins, and it's known by the not that I take much heed from them, but on this state I will. It's known by the World Health Organization to contain PCBs and dioxins, and these are cancer-forming chemicals, and it's something like 50 times as much dioxin as it's meant to have and 200 times as much PCB as it's meant to have. So avoid cod liver oil. We don't even have it in a shop. I won't sell it.
That's right. People are coming and ask for it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. I'm not going to get involved in killing people.
Can I just come in a little bit chat? I hope I don't. It's Barefoot Forager Holly said, algae oil, ALGAI. Is it okay? And
algae oils are good. They tend to be quite expensive because you're not getting a lot of oil from the algae. But yes, they're good. As is krill oil, but it has to be from a clean sea. So if it's from
that's interesting.
If it's from Icelandic waters, it's probably okay.
Sorry, I was going to say, Holly and I went to Devon. I think it was just in the summer last year, and she collected a lot of seaweed. And there was like different types of seaweed. One of them looked like it was like little popping capsules. I don't know the difference between the different types of seaweed, but she made a lot of. Yeah, but she made a load of iodine capsules out of that, and she just said to me, just try one of these. I'm like, what? Just raw? She said, yeah, eat it. I'm like, oh, okay. So I tried it. And I thought actually it's quite pleasant. That. So what's your thoughts on iodine for like?
Absolutely, yeah, brilliant. Seaweeds are amazing. If you think about it, a land-based plant will contain what it can draw out of the soil. And as we've drawn out of the soil so many minerals now, the soils are basically empty. Whereas the sea, it's got all of the stuff that's in the seawater that it's able to absorb. And if it's if it absorbs high levels of iodine, then yeah, it's good. Again, you need it well flushed. You need water around it to be clean. But
yeah,
I've eaten.
You did clean it. It wasn't just a case of consuming it, but I mean, we cleaned it and washed it, and so yeah, there was that. It wasn't just a case of.
Can I just add though?
I've eaten loads of seaweed in my time. I used to have a sort of little set of recipes where I do fish with seaweeds actually, but
lovely.
The trouble is getting hold of them.
But can I just add though, if you want any medicines, natural medicines, Miles sells the top quality. If you go along to your local supermarket and buy vitamins and stuff from there, and there's a certain mail order place which we won't go into, which that does mail order. Well, yes, it's from some island somewhere.
Right.
Not they. I think you'd probably be better off sniffing the packet. You'd probably get better vitamins there. And now, Haji said mushrooms are great for cancer and depression. So that's interesting.
What kind of mushrooms? Well, that's the question. Obviously, I'm not going to advocate for or suggest anything at this point. But some freedom hats, if you get my meaning. I'm familiar with that, if I can say that.
Yes.
In microdosing?
The mushrooms that I'm going to discuss.
Mm-hmm. It's such a good situation to be in, isn't it? It's not like we're in a tyranny and we can't mention certain things online.
Another private conversation, I think. The mushrooms that I'm going to discuss are incredibly good for cancer and for and they help with mood and well-being. But I think the ones that most people are considering are actually can be quite dangerous. You have to be quite careful with them. And they grow in this country, and they grow in little rings around where trees have been felled. I think we all know what I'm talking about. I can't tell you whether or not that's a good idea because I'm restricted in what I can tell you. If you know someone who knows mushrooms and you can ask them, they may be able to help you with it. And I think the more you know about mushrooms, the less you want to be just going, oh, just try that one. Mushroom treatment is very, very powerful medicine, but it's also can be quite destructive. So you have to be careful.
I was going to say that, you've just been careful what I say, but certain types that I've been with people who've selected them in the field, if I can say that, and it's just like, don't consume that, and especially the little orange ones. It's like, if you eat that, you're in trouble.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Unless you don't know this. It's a
all right, sorry.
Friends that
the mushrooms.
I'm not in contact with them anymore.
The other ones that you can talk about and consume are mainly Japanese mushrooms. They're or considered Japanese in their therapeutic action. The Japanese use mushrooms quite frequently, and they're things like reishi, shiitake. Chinese use cordyceps a lot. Cordyceps I'm big on. I really like the idea of cordyceps, but that's because I'm a Chinese practitioner.
Aren't they supposed to be good for the brain function, like cognitive function,
absolutely,
things like that?
Absolutely, yeah. They help. What the Chinese like about them, and it's I suppose it's part of what I like about them. They're transformative, and they believe they're transformative, like it or not, as a description. It's the only creature, the only living organism that starts out as an animal and turns into a plant. And it's people die collecting these. There's like mafia gangs or triad gangs or whatever you want to say that sort of guard the mountains where these are found. They're such a prized possession, and every year there's people found dead that have been, so we're told, collecting them, and the gangs find them and get rid of them. So it's a bit of a rough old game out there. They're called cordyceps, and what actually happens is it starts out life as a larvae, and there's a certain wasp that lays its eggs in this larvae so that the eggs can eat the wasp. And most of the wasps have got this fungal infection, if you like, that is transferred to the larvae, and it stays alive for quite a long time, but it gets overtaken by this fungi. And I believe that even the larvae stage of the wasp dies off, so the whole thing becomes fungus because the fungus eats it. And that anything that's transformative in Chinese medicine is seen as rather special stuff, but it seems to have a very potent effect on transforming. So that's one of the things. Now, what I was going to say, what I would say about your anxiety, stroke, depression is, are you sure you're addressing it in the right way? And that's, people tend to think, oh, I've got depression, oh, I'll take an antidepressant. Anti doesn't fix the problem. anti.
I suspect all it's a bit like a painkiller, as far as I understand it. It just covers it up for a little while, doesn't it? And I would suspect, judging on some of the effects of coming off this crap, that actually it makes the problems a lot worse. And I suspect that again, it's pharmaceuticals generally. I would suggest do that anyway, because then they get you hooked in, don't they?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
but I'd
sorry,
say
I know, Chris. I'm very aware of what I'm saying. It's all right. I'm not gonna. I'll try not to get in booed.
The fact of the matter is that you've got the same sort of situation with herbal medicine to a degree, whereby you could, in Germany, the first choice for most people with depression is St. John's wort and hypericum.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Now that suits a lot of people, and I know a lot of people who just repeatedly come into the shop to buy hypericum because it keeps them from having their depression. It's still not a fix. What you've got to do to get a fix is get your brain to work more like my brain. Well, no, actually, you don't want that. Get your brain to work properly. The things that make the brain work properly are indeed the nutrients, especially minerals, the oils, and the B vits. They're the very important stuff to sort of have. And
B vitamins stink, though. I mean, the one thing that puts me off B vitamins is that they really do honk. It's horrible.
What's worse? The honk of B vitamin or depression?
Well, that's right.
But that would actually potentially fix the problem rather than treating the symptom. And then the beef bone broth. Why I'm banging on about that? It's a whole area that I was fully aware of. Actually, I was sort of known at college for working with and going into amino acids. And I sort of put them to one side a little bit because they're not that easily available. And then there I am taking them, and lo and behold, I feel great when I'm on them. Yeah, and in the beef, why it works with beef bone broth, if you think about it, the bone is the densest area of collagen. That's why it's so hard. It's why it's so resilient to the loads that we put through the bones, that you'd think they'd snap if you realised the just the loads that are going through it. When you get up out of a chair, your knees are going through up to 5 times body weight. Now, that's a phenomenal amount of load that's going on there. But the bones don't snap. And that's because it's got so much collagen holding it all together, structurally holding it together. So what this bone broth does is it gives you that collagen. Now, because you don't need it for your bones because they're strong enough, your brain may be bad at metabolizing those amino acids. And the amino acids, I mean, as a simple example, if you were to try phenylalanine, which is an amino acid.
I was going to say that sounds familiar. What's that from? Yeah,
it's an amino acid, and a lot of people take it without realizing they're taking spirulina and Lake Klamath blue-green algae, things like that. It's actually very high in phenylalanine. Now, if there's also depression falls into sort of two areas. One is anxiety type depression, which I think yours sounds like it is, whereby it's sort of I go boo and you go, oh, what's that? And yeah, but more that way rather than me going boo and you going, oh yeah, I don't care. So there's apathetic depression and there's anxiety type depression.
Yeah, the problem is with a lot of the antidepressants that I was on, that apathy. I mean, again, it's nice as a numbing agent. I mean, you do feel apathy, you just don't give a shit, which is all right to a point. But also, I've noticed that what happens when you do that is your cognitive function drops.
Yeah.
So
this is what I said about.
Can I add something?
What I was saying about being zoned out, sort of thing. But if you don't take it, because you've had an experience where you've not taken it, do you feel anxious, or do you feel apathetic?
When I'm off it,
yeah,
anxious. The anxiety comes in pretty strong. I'll tell you right. So just I'm trying to keep up with the comments as well. A couple of things that I would like to add to that. First of all, exercise. I started doing weights about 3 years ago, and I'll do them 3 or 4 times a week. And I've noticed that when I do the weights, I'll sleep better, I breathe better, I think better. Right? I mean, I really do. So getting that oxygen flowing, that really, really makes a massive difference. And so I hate it when I don't do the weights because it has that effect. The other thing is when you're on about fatty acids and stuff like that. Obviously, there's been this, and again, I'll be careful how I say this, an attack on cholesterol, which, so far as I understand it, the higher the cholesterol you intake up to a certain point, so higher levels are, instead of what we're told, they're actually good for you and actually help with cognitive function. And it's kind of it's one of those things that's essential. So I don't worry about fats and things like that so much, So anything that where it says high cholesterol or anything, he said, yeah, bring it on. So just to add that into the mix. But
same here,
essential
mate.
fatty acids. The essential fatty acids, the lower the number. I mean, you get to sort of 6s and 3s. They actually will remove, for use of a better word, the bad cholesterol. So you'll load up the receptor sites with the essential fats from omega-3. Omega-3 will actually displace saturated fats, but you do need saturates. I'm not disputing that. They're an absolutely necessary part of your diet. And if I was, the weird thing, I don't know how I get away with it, but I eat fat on steak. I eat not much bacon, but I'll eat fat on steak. I'll eat chicken with skin on it. It's kind of it. And then the last time, admittedly, this was about just after the pandemic, so about 4 or 5 years ago, I did a cholesterol check, and it was at 5.3. Now, if I'd gone and got that from the doctor, they would have put me on statins because of my age and my being over 5.2. I can't even remember whether I ate some fat the night before, but I certainly wasn't going to go on statins. They do, in my opinion, much more harm than good. There are some people, again, we're back at that. There are some people who can't control it and can't get it back to the right level, either because they're not trying the right things or they're not persistent enough. But I'm talking about the general public. Most of them don't really need statins. In fact, I think that they do better without them.
Well,
I got to be honest. That's right. I was going to say statins. Whenever anyone says to me, "Oh, the doctor's recommending statins," I'm like, "Well, just be careful about that." I personally wouldn't go on anything like that. I wouldn't touch it with a barge pole.
No, good. You shouldn't, by the sound of it. I think you've got to experiment with taking more fats and what are considered good fats.
There as well. Sorry, not to interrupt. He's mentioned more salt. So again, table salt, I would avoid it like the plague because, as far as I understand it, table salt is one of the most fluoridated products on the market.
Yeah.
It's not only that; it's a killer.
Yeah,
all that's good for doing is washing your dishes with.
Yeah, and a few other things I suspect. But so I'll try and eat sort of like Himalayan salt, sea salt, from obviously, again, not from the Pacific for obvious reasons. And a lot of people, Survival Steve, so whenever I go and visit Steve, he takes Celtic salt, which he recommends very highly. So yeah, so I don't
available in your shop. Invaluable in your shop, isn't it? Celtic salt, I believe. And is it Celtic salt?
Yes, it is available. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
it is.
I mean,
now,
quite honestly, Celtic salt is very expensive, and if you can't afford Celtic salt, at least have sea salt or the Himalayan salt.
yeah, but hang on, Miles. I'll stop you there. I don't think it is expensive because you use less of it.
You do use less of it, yeah. But if I was on a very tight budget, and I'd say I had a young lucky me, I had a young family, and I was on a tight budget. The difference between table salt and sea salt is not a great difference. The difference between the Celtic salt and regular sea salt is quite a difference. It's about 3 times the price, and people do have to watch their pennies.
Yeah, well, I do. I mean, unfortunately, I'm in a position where finances are tight, so beggars can't be choosers. I mean, I try and eat as healthy as possible, but I mean, sometimes you just can't. So you've just got to think more.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing. I mean, you shouldn't give up eating good quality vegetables and meat so you can have Celtic sea salt. Just buy yourself regular sea salt and Atlantic sea salt, and it will be pretty good. It certainly won't be as bad as the rock salt that they sell as table salt.
And also, you can get Himalayan salt and sea salt in the pound shop. Seriously, you go.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe that.
Yeah, and now Exo says
make sure they're not adding anything, but.
Now, Exo says, that's okay. What's the best omega-3 intake method then?
It's very debatable. The best is right. You've got pros and cons wherever you go. So let's do it that way round. If you get it from plants, obviously organic, and obviously kept cold, kept dark, because they're very easily damaged, the essential fats, especially the plant ones. The animal ones are a little bit more robust, but so it should be purchased from a fridge. It should be in a fridge that's the oil should be in a darkened bottle in a container that keeps all the light out, and it should be kept in the fridge while you're taking some from the bottle. A few hours out isn't going to matter, but if you keep it out for days, it's just going to go off quicker, much quicker.
I was what's the importance of that? But yeah, fair. You've just answered it. So
yeah, it oxidizes in both. Well, it obviously has to have some oxygen, but it oxidizes very readily, especially with light and heat present. So keep it as cool and as dark as you possibly can. Fish oils.
I'm being shouted at you to stick the camera on. So are you sure you want?
Shall I come off camera?
No, carry on, mate. No, you're the star of the show. Keep on.
I'm the star of the show.
I am the star of the show.
That's right.
Hold on.
Yes, you come on now. If we get bandwidth problems, then obviously the camera will have to, But
I've got to go into my settings first and enable it.
We'll get rid of that Eric on Essex.
Whilst we're talking about it, there's one thing. What I was going to say, Nathan, is I don't want to depress you, but I don't think you could ever cure those problems. You suppress them, not suppress them, but because you still get anxiety.
Oh, hello. There we go.
Hello, Nathan.
There we go.
There we go.
It's all looking okay. Yes.
But I disagree with you on that, Chris. I think you can cure it, and I think you can work with it, and you can. It's not a simple task, but you can.
It's a difficult task.
It's a very difficult task.
Yeah, but with Nathan and I mean, we both had a bad childhood.
Right.
Not fully, and that's what gave us.
No, it was pretty horrific. Let's be honest. I mean,
it's pretty horrific. Yeah. So we got to work at that, and I think that with me, I had something that was festering inside me, this emotion that's festering, and I was just lucky it came out. Now, I think you might have an emotion festering inside you, Nathan.
What does hatred count? I don't.
No. But there's something that needs to be brought
Nathan,
out.
Aren't you glad you put your camera on?
Yes.
Not at all.
Anyway, Call Creeper said.
Hold on, just a minute. Right, so Holly,
hang on, you had a bleeding haircut.
Oh, you're chickening out. She's chickening out. See, she made me put the camera on. Oh, wimp. Wimp. There you go. Never mind. I'll carry on.
Well, hang on. Someone called Creeper says chamomile and what's this Vervain formula from Vervain, and that as well formula from Herb's Hands Healing Company is a hug in a bottle, the best for anxiety. They have great website run by Master Herbalist. So there we go. That's a plug there.
Great. The problem with it is, it's like I said, is that going to fix the underlying problem? And that's what you've got to do. You've got to work with the underlying problem. I think, Nathan, from what you're saying, and possibly you, Chris, if that's the situation, you both need to be taken through not just a nutritional treatment or in consultations. You need to also see someone who can take you through the emotional side of that and get you through not thinking about your past childhood and not thinking about how things have been terrible for you. I had a bad childhood. I really did. I think that was fairly common in our age group. Many a time I was sent to my room, no food, having been smacked by my dad, and the door wasn't unlocked until it was time to go to school in the morning. And that's not how you should treat a child. But I don't want to go into it. I don't go there. That's gone. That's history. I can't do anything about it. So
agree.
I mean, you could rehash it constantly, but it's not going to fix the issue, is it? It's just going to rehash. Right. I mean, to be fair,
but then the emotions go in, and you see the thing is it depends on the severity of the abuse in many ways.
Yeah.
Because people, when you say abuse, people always think of sex, but no, it can be emotional abuse, and emotional abuse is something that I mean, being used like a punch ball. Not physically, physically and verbally. That is something.
And I think you possibly both need to look at that side of it. I'm not here to discuss that side. I don't know that side. I'm trained in nutrition. I'm trained in the closest to it is actually the Chinese medicine, because they don't believe that any illness is just physical or just emotional or just spiritual. So every illness, every ailment out there has an element of all of those things in it. So you could say, well, come on, you break your arm, it's broken, that's physical. Yeah, but you feel down, you feel miserable, your spirits are lowered because of the fact that you can't do the things you normally would do, etc., etc. So even in something as physical as that, you've still got those other two elements to deal with. And I'm a different person to you guys. I've kind of done it without counselling and without having
counsellors waste of space.
Yeah, some of them are, some of them aren't.
I was going to say not necessarily all of them. I mean, I've had a mixed bag where some of them have been clearly just doing it because it's a job, whereas others, if they know how things work psychologically, they can be really good. So I see where you're going with that one, mate, and it's largely I would agree with you.
I was lucky,
genuinely helpful. So
I knew someone that was trained in psychology, but was retired and couldn't stand psychiatrists. Seriously. So that's the first one. But change the subject slightly. Matilda Warra said, eat mushrooms with, do you eat, I think she needs to say, do you eat mushrooms with the skin on, or should you peel them? I've heard the skin blocks the bowel.
I haven't heard that.
Fry them. I've never heard that either.
Very quickly, I just like this one from Exo. If you ate 1980s school meals and are still living, you're fine.
Yes.
I'm gonna comment on that, because I hated school with a passion. I mean, I really hated it, and it's so much so that I
Same
left it when
here.
I was 14. But we used to have like 3 bars, like we used to call them bars. So you had the dinner bar, the burger bar, and the salad bar. I
You
mean, I
lucky
think you
thing.
can take a guess
You
at
lucky
which one.
sod.
Yeah, what? Oh, mate, the burger bar was great. I mean, I got to be honest, it's like secondary school meals were great.
But
I mean, I really, really enjoyed
how
them.
old are you, Nathan?
I'm 45 now, mate.
Yeah, you see, you youngster, you're just a pup.
Oh, don't say that. I keep getting told by my daughter, and Holly's like, "No, you're old now." It's like, okay, fine.
You
So,
reach
yeah,
your
I'm old.
60s, then you feel old. Now, Barefoot Fodder says, as far as I know, I think there is only one toxic seaweed in the UK, and that is found in the middle of the channel. Just need a clean beach, because Aunt Sally asked about, can you eat any seaweed? I'm just trying to find her.
From an English
Here we are.
I think you can, yes.
Are we talking about normal seaweed that turns up on the beach of any English coast, like Southend? I wouldn't suppose Southend. Well, I wouldn't advise Southend, but I don't know. No, I think they've cleaned it up a bit now. But do you want to hear the story of the Southend beach? When I was a kid, I went there with my little bucket and spade, and mummy. See, because you know that they call it Southend on Sea because it's really at the river mouth, because you can see the Kent coast opposite. It's the River Thames. So they call it on sea because it's sort of on sea and sort of not. And what happened is when I was a little nipper in the 60s, the ships used to empty their bilges, and they sometimes mistimed it, and you got everything from their bilge tanks washing up. This no longer happens, I'm sure, on the Southend beach, you see. And it was at the time when these Portuguese man of war jellyfish were hitting the coast. So I was there with my bucket and spade, and being a very inquisitive little child, I saw these dead jellyfish. Going, Mummy, look, jellyfish! Get away from there! Clap round bloody ear off! Get out! I thought, what? I don't understand a jellyfish. And I was going to take them, I was going to take them back to show my friends at school, these jellyfish. But it wasn't until many years later I discovered that they weren't jellyfish; they were condoms.
Oh. Okay, yeah, okay. Moving swiftly on. To be fair, the last time I saw jellyfish was at Whitby Beach, and it was a massive blue thing. I mean, it was huge. I mean, it was like that big and blue. I don't know what it was, but anyway, that's the aside.
Yeah, that's they get a lot of those in, funnily enough, at estuarine areas. I saw the same thing. I think they're called something like a dustbin jellyfish or something. They're massive, pale, sort of translucent blue, and probably 2.5 foot across. And they seem to wash up on
that would have been about right, yeah.
Yeah, they seem to wash up on the Cornish coast down at Padstow quite a lot, and I've seen them there a couple of times. But I tried to put them back in the water, but they don't make it. They're dead. Basically, they're dead.
I'm not brave enough to try that one, unfortunately. Oh, by the way, the seaweed that Holly made the iodine out of, it was bladderwrack. So I don't know whether that's like a...
Yeah, it's kind of bladderwrack's a close relative of kelp, and it's very high. All the kelps are, and the kelp type of seaweed are very high in iodine. Yeah. Again, though, I mean, coming back to Aunt Sally's gone. She's gone. The last thing that she's put on there.
She's in the bath. That's what it is. She's
got probably. She's drowning.
Splashing.
If you're eating seaweed off the beach, as far as I'm aware, do double check this, because I haven't, but I've never had any problems. As far as I'm aware, there's no coastal sea plants that are dangerous. Some of them are pretty disgusting to eat, but they're all edible. And but what you got to do is get them when the tide goes out. you've got to really go out again, swimming out, and take it off the rocks that are constantly in water but are getting well washed with the tidal movement, and that would give you fresh seaweed. I do the same when I love doing this. I go out and I get a load of mussels, and one day I'll get caught out off the rocks, and then I have to swim back in before I'm carried off by the tide. But so far I've made it every time, as you can see.
Yeah.
That's the challenge, right?
Now, yes. Well, Matilda Warrer says the mushroom skin thing was advised to a cancer patient I knew by his specialist doctor. He was told to peel mushrooms as they would clog his bowel up. I've never heard of that before.
No, I've not heard of that. I'm not totally convinced that that's right. But hey, if he's been told it, go with that until we know better.
Medicine. This is Pani Theo. The medicine Buddha in Mongolia. They chant and pray with patience, as well as 1,000-year-old scriptures for healing with plants. Yes, I think that's quite marvellous what they do at Mongolia. And Aunt Sally says, "I'm all ears, not in the bath." You're joking. You're not. You're really not in the bath. You're always in the bath.
Well, not always. I mean, sometimes she does it mid conversation, and she's like.
I mean, I've been in your shop, and you've actually got one of these old bathtubs. It's not really joking.
Now I'll tell you how late it's getting. Chris. I was reading one from Matilda Warrior. Is it? I swam in the middle of jellyfish and it's S Pacific, and I thought she put specific. In the S Pacific,
South
didn't
Pacific,
get stung once. So there we are.
Yeah.
Very brave, though. I wouldn't.
That's very, very brave.
Yes, that would.
I'm not sure. I'd like to try that.
Now, I ain't going swimming for sea. Sorry, what are you going to say, Nathan?
Carry on with that.
Aunt Sally said, "I ain't going swimming for seaweed in the English Sea at my age. Not going to happen." Oh well. Well, you could pick it off the beach of Southend, and then you could visit Miles the next day for stomach trouble. You give yourself.
She's not going in this country. You heard what she said.
Oh yes.
Hold on just a moment.
While you're looking for that, I've been warned about the mushrooms on Brighton Beach. I mean, there is that as well.
Really? the magic mushrooms.
It's not how I would have called them, but for anyone that's not familiar with that particular anecdote, Brighton's known for a certain persuasion.
Right. Here we are.
Oh yes. Yes. Sorry, yes. I'm a bit slow. So
So I've just looked it up. They are still in business by the look of it. I believe they do. There we are. Free delivery over £20, 30-day returns. Cornish Seaweed Company, bringing sustainable harvesting Cornish seaweed to your kitchen. Nutrient-rich, organic, and rooted in care for the coast and good food. So there we are. Look it up online. I'm sure they'd appreciate your business.
That's excellent. And also, I'm going to mention one, Udo's oil, which you sell. Now, I'm wondering whether that has helped me a heck of a lot. Because I take it regularly. Stuff. It is amazing, but the trouble is I have to mix mine with banana because I did take it. So I thought I'll take it as it should do, and I took it, and it sort of went halfway down and went straight up again. I just couldn't keep it down. There's something about the taste of it. I don't know what
we love it. We love these descriptions.
Yes. But it's marvellous stuff.
Right, Udo did loads of research into essential fatty acids. What actually happened very quickly, I think we'll probably make this one of the last, if not the last, because I've got work in the morning.
I understand.
He poisoned himself. He was working in the agricultural industry and managed to ingest organophosphates, which I wouldn't have thought would do him an awful lot of good. He went along to his GP, and the GP said, "Well, get your house in order because you're going to live another 5 days or so. And he decided, as a biochemist, to research to get into very quickly what would clear out these organophosphates. Most of them are fat soluble, so he took the essential fats, which then fill up that space that the toxic fats are occupying, and he got himself better like it. And then he decided to make it a publicly available oil mixture, and the rest is history. It's a very successful and the premier.
It's brilliant.
Balanced oil blend. A lot of people have come along and said, "Oh, it's no good, and you shouldn't have omega-9, you shouldn't have omega-6," and we get all of these things going on. Yeah, okay. There may be certain situations where you don't want them. For the general public, that is a really good oil blend, and it's a little on the dear side, but I wouldn't say it commands the premier price that people think it would be, considering all of the work that he's done, the research work that he's done behind it. I looked at another oil blend, which I won't mention, but a person was taking it, and it's virtually only omega-3 and omega-9, and they've been recommended it by. Here you go. These are people that you said you didn't like the psychotherapists.
Psychiatrists.
This was recommended by someone who claimed to be a nutritionist. It lands up that they're actually a network marketing person, and it's the wrong oils, and they're making the situation worse. It's
imagine my surprise.
Yeah, and it's this person's skin. Well, it looks like. They look like a lizard shedding its skin at the moment. They're going through that on a semi-permanent basis, and I'm now working with this person again. They actually had a big falling out with me some time ago because I wasn't working fast enough with them. Well, I obviously got something right because they've come back to me. And I've pointed out, you just got to keep doing this until you do it right. And they bought the wrong oil, and it's funny how people then say, "Well, how can they sell it if it's the wrong one?" It's like, because it's good for something else. Yeah.
Can I? Sorry, I know you're a bit pushed for time. Something that Holly's just put there, and it's for me, so I know why she's asking. I get this. Are you all right to answer one more question if you can?
Yeah, sure.
Sorry, I'll make it as quick as I can. Right, so I get this thing where my heart beats like really, really heavily, like it really bounces in my chest, quite rapid as well, and I'll get it sporadically. I mean, sometimes I get it when I'm trying to go to sleep. Sometimes I get it in the middle of the day. I don't know what triggers it. So Holly has recommended hawthorn.
Yeah.
So I just wondered do you know what the cause of that is?
It sounds to me as if you're having some kind of panic attack. Do you feel anxious when you have this?
Sometimes I'm not aware of it until it kicks in, but it's like it can keep me awake. So sometimes I can without realizing it, I can go to bed and I'm like, oh, it's keeping me awake because it'll just bounce right, really, really heavy.
Okay, and
it's
do you sleep okay?
That's the question of the century, that one. Sometimes, yeah. I mean, I can. It goes either way. Either I don't sleep. It takes me ages and ages and ages to sleep, or I'm out as soon as my head hits the pillow. So it's like one extreme or the other. It's like I'm out straight away.
I'm the same.
And do you ever get muscle cramps?
Ironically, yeah, I've got one now on my quad. In my right, yeah.
Bend your toes, straighten your leg and bend your toes up towards you at this moment in time. But and rather personal question, you don't obviously have to answer it. You're on the show, but
let's go for it.
Do you get constipation?
Not really.
No.
That's it.
Okay.
No. Is that something that's supposed to come with it, or?
No. It's, you've got a few symptoms there that, as well as the depression, as well as the anxiety, so I'm rolling it all in together. It sounds like you're magnesium deficient, and if you were to take magnesium, a lot of those things would ease up. The hawthorn berry, again, hawthorn berry is kind of it'll probably work, but it's treating the symptom. This is what I don't want to do. I would, if you were a patient of mine, I would probably put you on hawthorn as well as magnesium, as well as so you didn't get the problem while we were waiting for the magnesium to build up to a suitable level, and then I'd withdraw the hawthorn berry, and you'd probably say, no, I've been really well since I've had that. Yeah, but we're not trying to fix the symptom, we're trying to fix the problem. And if the problem is a shortage of magnesium, which I think it could well be, and that you're not on magnesium or anything like that at the moment.
I do. Funnily enough, I've still got some left. I need to do a massive restock on all my vitamins. I mean, at the minute, the only ones I've got left is I'm going to say Miles.
You should have done that the last time you were in Waltham Abbey.
I know. You offered to stab me with needles. I'm like, I'll pass this for the minute. But I do have a little bit of magnesium with me. But again, I don't.
Okay.
I have a question.
Hello, Patrick. Okay, Patrick.
I have someone who is asking about if Dr. Miles would know what the best way to get rid of plaque in arteries is.
Oh, yes, I've got lots of things for artery plaque. Let me finish quickly with Nathan, and then I'll do that, and I think I'm going to call it a day then.
Okay.
Sure.
So get yourself on somewhere around about... You're not on any medications at all at the moment, are you?
Still on the pre-gabs, unfortunately. But, I mean, it's
okay,
a long dose.
That'll be all right.
What I was on, but yeah, unfortunately.
And you're getting this still while you're on the pregabalin?
Say that again, mate.
You still get these heart palpitations when you're on the pregabalin?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
Okay. Get on about 500 milligrams of magnesium with your last meal of the day.
Okay.
And I think within a few days you'll see an improvement in your general well-being. Okay. Give me a phone call in the shop on Wednesday if you want to, and we'll go through a few things. All right, you've got the number.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
And it's down below in the description. So if you haven't got it, it's in the description below.
You know what I'm like. I'll forget that. But yeah, I'm happy to do that, mate. Thank you very much for answering those.
Okay, no problem.
Pleasure to meet you the other day as well. The pair.
Yeah, it's good to meet you. You better come up the shop again and actually buy something.
oh, I see. Right. Okay. Is this you're going to?
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah. Okay. So what was the other arterial plaque? There are a number of... Now, this is slightly different. Obviously, something's got to be done that stops the build-up of arterial plaque. Now, arterial plaque is a big title. It can be cholesterol. It can be calcium deposits. It can be other toxic materials deposits. So it depends what it is. But there's some very good proprietary products out there which would treat this. And remove that arterial plaque. I've got various things. If it's, for example, if it's cholesterol, I would suggest something like kyolic garlic. And kyolic garlic is a unique product. It doesn't interact with any medications. It dissolves arterial plaque. But you've got to remember, if you're going along and you're dissolving arterial plaque, that plaque's got to go somewhere. So it goes back into the bloodstream, and so you're raising cholesterol levels. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I can't hear you, sorry.
No, I'm here. Can you hear me now?
You heard that okay?
Yes, I heard that perfectly.
Yeah. Kyolic garlic. Are you in America?
Yes.
Yes, it's in Wisconsin.
Okay, I think it's a company, it's actually an American product, but it's made under license by a British company called Quest. And I think it's the Waganuga company who make kyolic garlic in America. So have a little look for that. If you have a problem, send me a text or something, and I'll find out from Quest who's they've got a license to manufacture it from. But I think it's Waganuga, which is a strange name, but I've got a feeling it's called Waganuga Company. And other ways of doing it. There is a product. If the arterial plaque is causing problems, is it causing problems at the moment, like intermittent claudication and things like that?
I am not sure.
Okay. If it is, there's a product called Padma 28. I believe it's now been renamed Padma. For some unknown reason, it was 24 Tibetan herbs, but it was called Padma 28. I don't know why. However, that is a proprietary product. I've worked with it before, and it's especially good for intermittent claudication, which is where you walk a few hundred yards and your legs are suddenly absolutely exhausted. You can't go any further. It's also good for coronary arteries, clearing coronary arteries, and so is hawthorn berry, which we've talked about earlier. That also clears coronary arteries of plaque. And then there was something we were dabbling with at college, which it is a dabble. So if all else fails, it was big doses of L-lysine, which is another amino acid. It's amino acid night. And large amounts of vitamin C. And it seems that the vitamin C has an effect to remove this arterial plaque, and the lysine sort of puts almost like a non-stick coating on the artery. In other words, it doesn't really allow it to stick any more cholesterol there or sticky deposits. It's normally cholesterol. It's normally LDL cholesterol.
Just one last thing.
Yeah, sure.
What's your opinion about red yeast rice?
Very good at lowering cholesterol. It's treating the symptom. It's very good.
It was suggested as a statin replacement.
Yeah, it is a statin. It's a statin called lovastatin, and so it's a naturally occurring statin. But yeah, I mean, by all means, use it if you can't alter your diet sufficiently to get the cholesterol into a normal-ish range. And I've got a wide range that I think is a normal range, quite honestly. Probably from somewhere around about 4 as a total cholesterol. This is 4 up to about 6, maybe even 6.5. Anything in between that, I wouldn't worry too much, quite honestly. It's even getting proved more and more amongst the health professionals that the statins they're not extending life and they're not improving life. In fact, they may be detrimental to your life. So you get health concerns because you're taking a statin.
Yes. Well, thank you.
That's okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for everybody that's been in chat, Nathan, and also David and Patrick and everybody else that's made this show. And of course, above all, it's Miles. Now, please pop along if you're near Waltham Abbey. It's not, if you're not far from it, please pop in and, spend some money with Miles, because he does this all for free. And
Can I just add something there? Sorry, I've just cut you off there. Right. First of all, Miles and Chris, you're getting a round of applause from Holly. Just thought I'd put that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank
do
you.
internet connection, like
what?
Sorry, I didn't catch.
All right. Okay. Sorry. Do you do internet appointments?
Telephone appointments. Yes, we do. Yeah, I do. The thing is, I do have a lot of test equipment, so yeah, it'd be best to get along for some testing, depending on what's going on, what's happening. But I do telephone conversations, and consultations.
You could start the ball rolling.
You can make a fortune with that, I reckon.
Yeah, we can do things online, but like I say, the whole point of the test equipment that I've got, it means you need less consultations, and so the price would rank up by doing them. It's a lovely thought, and I'd love to get into that, but it's something that I'm busy anyway in my clinic in the shop. I'm working tomorrow, and I'll be working tomorrow from 10 until 6, and I think I have 1 hour off for lunch, but I'm not even sure I do have that. And I should
very busy.
on the beach, have lunch.
No, it's good that you are busy, because it shows that people have, they've got a genuine interest in this kind of stuff. And
strangely enough,
we can see by the audience figures tonight. I mean, people are very, very interested.
It's often not people in Waltham Abbey. It's people from further out than that. But
what was that? The furthest one is Nigeria, isn't it? I think you got a patient that comes from Nigeria. Oh,
Nigeria, get out of it. Nigeria, that's nothing. That's just round the corner. My furthest one is Hobart, Tasmania.
Wow, so that says it all, doesn't it? Really.
I can't get much further away.
Go, mate, just want to thank you for your information and advice.
Well, thank you as well.
We're not allowed to call it advice. We'll call it information and knowledge, shared knowledge. Thank you very much. I just want to say wisdom.
Thank you very much. And I mean, the thing is that Miles does this free. Well, he's got to make a living. He's got to run a shop. So please pop in, and it doesn't matter. If you're going through Waltham Abbey or anything like that, because you've got to keep that shop open. You've got to keep, because it is part. We need Miles, to save lives. And
you don't even know how much you need me.
Well, that's right. I mean, I sometimes sit in your shop and I hear the people coming in, and they got their prescriptions and you go, what? And they're as white as a sheet, and they're going, my doctor's just told me this, and then you say, well, hang on a moment, and you look through and you explain it, and quite honestly, the amount of people you've cured is quite incredible. So please pop along to his shop, give him a phone call, and spend a bit of the old.
I was just wondering earlier, because David was on about shadow people. I only caught a little bit of this, but apparently there's some kind of entity behind him. I'm just thinking, if they're white as a sheet, I mean, does that mean they're dead, or I mean, are we dealing ghosts? Oh, sorry.
Well, I've got one more thing here.
And you've got suffering from Qatar as well, aren't you, Nathan? Sorry.
Qatar.
Oh yeah, very good.
Sorry.
I've got one more thing. Because
the pink guitar.
Because it was state paranormal misdirection. I'd just like to know, why was the ghost so tired?
I don't know. Why was the ghost so tired?
Go on.
He worked the graveyard shift. Boom. And on that note, I'm going.
Well, thank you very, very much for coming on the show tonight.
Next time we come on, Chris, we've got some great jokes, some knock jokes. Shall we go for one? No.
No.
Oh, it was your fault. You got me on the Irish. No. Oh, come on. Oh, fine.
One joke, quickly. Come on, Nathan. One joke.
One joke. Find me a good knock.
You should do Anita's about your roof.
No. Here we go. Right. Knock.
Who's there?
No. Knock.
Who's there?
Scott.
What?
Scott.
No, I don't
Scott.
get it.
Scott.
Jesus Christ. Scott, nothing to do with you.
Bye. Bye.
All right.
Nathan, don't give up your day job.
Yes.
It's not my day job. It's not. I just,
Bye.
All right.
Thank you, everyone, for coming on the show. And above all, tomorrow I'll be on with Maleficus, and he's got a very interesting story to tell, historical one, and historical inaccuracy that he's putting right. So to do with his relatives as well. So that's going to be quite interesting. And we'll try and drag Miles on again soon. And please remember to subscribe, put the old thumbs up, And if you're feeling generous, buy me a coffee. He's just below here in my crotch. No, down in the description. And if you want to contact Miles, his telephone number and his address is down below in the description. And it just leaves me to say, whatever happens, have a bloody good laugh and good night.